Coming to you from the Troy Lee Design Saloon in Corona, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show, bringing you the legends and leaders of our sport with your host, David Pingree. This week's guest is brought to you by Yamaha, the leaders in the power sports industry. Motocross bikes, street bikes, adventure bikes, generators, side-by-sides, quads, boats. Yamaha sets the standard. Yamaha revs your heart. Today's guest is presented by Therabody, the world leader in human performance, wellness, and recovery. The pioneers of percussive therapy, Therabody changed the game with the Theragun device. Their arsenal has grown to include recovery compression systems, powered electric muscle stimulators, adjustable vibrating foam rollers, and a complete line of organic wellness solutions with their Thera One lineup. Whether you are a world-class athlete or you are just looking to improve your overall health, Therabody has the tools to help. Today's show brought to you in part by Method Race Wheels, the strongest, lightest, fastest wheels in off-road. Method dominates the off-road market, and they have the wheels for your truck, sprinter, SUV, Jeep, or van. SKDA Graphics. SKDA has turned the motorcycle graphic design world on its head by bringing a fast, fresh look into the sport. From outside-the-box designs to retro looks to a complete line of Whiskey Throttle show graphics, SKDA is operating on a completely different plane than the rest. With free global shipping on orders of over $100 and unrivaled customer service, right now is the time to freshen up the look of your ride. Troy Lee Designs. Built for the world's fastest racers, Troy Lee Designs blends elite-level protection with a history of industry-leading style and performance. From motocross gear to custom paint to bicycle protection, Troy Lee Designs is waiting for you on the next level.
It's February 2022. We are here in the Troy Lee Design Saloon. Thanks for tuning in to the Whiskey Throttle Show, guys. I'm your host, David Pingree. We've got a couple of really fun guests today. Mr. Denny Stephenson finally made it to the saloon.
It's shocking. It's been about a 6-month a year process, and I finally got here with my buddy Chad. We went to Supercross in California. We're ready to do some talking.
Did he slow play you?
Well, listen, he would text me back, and then I'd text him some more, like trying to get further down the road with dates, and then it was just ghosted.
Yeah.
These phones are pretty social. It's tough. Like I'm an old guy.
She doesn't blame technology.
A lot of buttons and
I don't
stuff.
know.
A lot of
My
buttons.
phone made a sound. What's that mean?
Yeah.
We also got 5-time arenacross champ Bud Man in here for the co-host job. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here, and I've since my show came on and with Nathan and all that, I've been a Whiskey Throttle fan, and I've been listening to almost all of them. So
I love it.
The show is great. The insight that you guys bring to the riders, some of the stuff I know these guys, and then I learned stuff about them that I didn't know along the way. So
that's been my favorite part, dude. I learned everyone that's been on here. I learned something.
Picking the brains.
I learned actually a lot. You know, I'm like, wow, I just didn't know that about you, or I didn't know you went through that, or I didn't know. You know,
you tend to think that we all kind of got to where we did, like similarly, like the same, but there's so many different stories.
So many different stories, and even if we're friends or like hanging out a lot.
I didn't know that about you.
We don't sit for 4 hours and go, all right, tell me about yourself.
Yeah,
tell me about your life.
right.
Start when you were born. I mean,
what makes you tick?
We just don't do that, right? It's like we bullshit about whatever we're talking about, and
yeah,
So it's been a lot of fun listening to him. It's been making my drives here around California better because traffic sucks around here. So anyhow, been enjoying it. Looking forward to doing the show with my good friend Denny, and maybe learning something new about him.
I don't know if that's possible. We know each other pretty well.
I think you guys know a lot about each other.
Yeah,
but
when you decide to draw the line, who knows?
We'll see where your line is today.
I'm kind of wondering as well. We'll see.
All right, well, we're kicking it off with the Method Race Wheels front-end chatter. 20% off using our code Whiskey Throttle on any Method product. So if you want one wheel, that's weird, but you 20% off on it. Full set, you want to get a T-shirt, a hat, doesn't matter. Use our code Whiskey Throttle. Get yourself wheels for your truck, van, sprinter, SUV, side-by-side, whatever you got. They make the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels in the biz. I want to hear how you two guys met. Let's go way back.
It's a long time. Like little kids, I guess. And I mean, not really.
I want to say 88 Loretta's. 87, 88
when
Loretta's.
was 87, I'm thinking. Is it's funny how people just gravitate. Like when you just see somebody and you start hanging out and you're like, I want to be around this guy. Like he's funny. Like he wants to do things outside the box a little bit and get a little funny and chase girls at the time, you know. And I think Manly was down there helping at that time. Yeah. And
So that was 88.
So you guys met at Loretta's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were younger. I mean, how old are you now?
48.
Yeah, so about 3 years difference. And he was on mini bikes still, and I was riding, you know, trying to make it with Team Green and shit. But you know, you still know that you want to like have a good time.
Yeah.
And Budmen like to have a good time.
Yeah, we like to have fun and run around and mess the rental car up. And I think the key broke off in our rental car that weekend. And Manly and Denny and all them were just taking the rental car at will. And I think you guys came back to the hotel, and my mom didn't know where the rental car went. And here they come driving up in it. She was so mad. My mom had the way, you know, moms have that look they can give you.
Yeah, they know. They know.
They hightailed out of the rental car, and we had a lot of fun. But I think for that was kind of our first hangout from there. And then I think then you were going into pro direction.
And
we
became teammates at Suzuki because obviously he was like the protege with R&D and RRD and all that. And
so the big moment was to solidify our relationship. Was at Houston, the first race. We both showed up at the hotel for some reason. We were staying at a residence, and Denny's like, "Hey, you wanted to share a room?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?"
Because you're getting per diem, right?
We're getting per diem.
Yeah, let's save some money here a little bit.
Save some money
with our big factory contracts at the time, like $18,000. You know.
So we stayed that weekend together, and I think from there on out we shared rooms almost. The whole rest of the year. I mean, we just
rental cars. We would, make the flights at the same time. Let's land at the same time. Yeah,
like-minded in our humor, like-minded in things we'd like to run around and do. So it just it made sense, and we enjoyed each other's company.
I guess I thought you guys raced mini bikes together, but I didn't realize you were a few years older. For some reason, I thought you were the same age. But
I mean, Fro and I rode mini bikes. Obviously, grew up together. But yeah, you were just a little bit younger.
Yeah, I raced against Fro. I think I maybe did one race against you on mini bikes. That was Carlsbad or something like that.
Oh yeah. No, I think you were on a mini still. I think I was riding 125.
You were on 125.
Yeah, you were
okay.
on minis. No, you showed up one year out of the blue and waxed all of us. Like no one even knew who you were.
When I was like 12.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 12. He was the Budman. Like he ripped. And Golden States back then were so rad, coming out. And
they were. And at that time, too, Suzuki just came out with their new 86 Model 80, which I did all the pre-production testing and all the testing leading up to it, so I was real comfortable on the bike. So when that bike came out, it was really good and obviously maybe really competitive at a young age.
He was a cocky little shit, too.
Because my hair was great.
He had
great hair.
Patrick fucking Swayze right here.
I know.
Had a Super at 12, like, man. Like, he was making more money probably in a Mini than he was making on a big bike at that point.
Maybe so.
I mean, that's when...
I remember he showed up at the World Mini one year. It was one of the first big amateur races I ever went to. And his number one on his bike was like...
Yeah, they made that thing big, didn't they?
Like 7 inches across,
Look at me.
Yeah. All right, so, Denny, this one's for you here. Which one hurt worse, your Oklahoma City faceplant or your Daytona faceplant? Because they've both resurfaced lately.
The Daytona one, I don't...
The Daytona one is the one where he's just smashed out.
You're literally flat in the ground.
That's Daytona. I didn't
Isn't that Daytona?
That's Englishtown.
Oh, it is?
That's at Englishtown, Kawasaki Race of
Champions.
Champions. And now it's because, Chicken, I just always wanted to beat Chicken. And so I'm like, I'm going to pass this son of a bitch. And all of a sudden you realize I'm way in over my head. But that one didn't hurt at all because it was soft. It was sawdust.
The Englishtown one?
But it shows. I call it the herpes of photos because it never goes away.
It should never go away. I've never seen somebody so flat, pressed into the ground, and the bike's still in the air above
it flipped me, like grabbed my legs, kind of like that Nicoletti video that shows him just get yard sailed. It kind of did that same thing.
So as the bike went over, it picked you up and
picked me
spit
back up, and scooped up all this dirt in my face and stuff, and I got up, and that one didn't hurt. The Oklahoma one, like
that hurt.
I remember like.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
You cased the finish line or something, right?
No. That was Houston.
No, this is Oklahoma City.
No, this is when the bike. I was trying to pass Fro, and I went on the inside, and he kind of came over a little bit, so I, pulled back, and I bounced and hit a false neutral or something, and it was just like, oh, here we go.
Was that over a triple or over that kind of big
that
step
double
down?
on the first turn? Remember, there was a huge double on the first turn, and then
it kind of stepped down a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
And there was a roller after it, and I just plowed me
face first into that roller.
So hard, and I watched the video of it. I could see the pain in my body. Like it got up and just was like, So I have 2 regrets, and one was like I should just waited that main event. Like I was 9 seconds faster in my heat race. Like that was a good year for me, but like I wanted to do it then. Like I just wanted to get out front, and I mistimed it clearly.
Yeah, I think Denny was going so fast at that race. You were up like running times where the top 250 guys were, because they had this set of whoops that were just enormous after the finish line, right?
Yep.
Into a left-hand turn, and Denny was one of the first guys skimming whoops. I think Chicken taught you.
Bale had
correct?
taught me actually how to get through them. Like he explained it. You know, sometimes we just say go faster through them. You know, and he was like aim your bike at it so the bike does the rocking horse. And so and I had long legs, so that helped as well.
And you were just hauling butt through them. And that week we stayed at Cooper's, and he was actually trying to teach me what he had learned from Bale to skim. And I remember being at Cooper's skimming, trying to learn it. And then he's hauling butt through him at Oklahoma race. So I go, okay, I got this.
Was it an east-west?
It was an east-west.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We had 3 of them that year.
So I'm trying to do like him, dude. I get about 4 or 5 in over the bars in like practice or something like that. Then I went to back to the old jump.
Back to the old rap.
But I mean, he was so much faster. He's right. He should have
They
waited.
were huge, but yeah.
And Jeff at the time, you know, he was known for riding a wide bike, so it really was.
He's still known for it.
Jeff's still known.
Well, still known. But at the time, you guys had gap like me and McGrath. Like you guys are.
It was only like the second lap.
But I think you guys were already out there a bit.
Yeah, and I was just like, let's get out front and get this done. And then it changed my career. I broke my wrist, and it was navicular. And I went to the doctor and like, well, you need to have surgery, and you'll be out for 6 months. I'm like, well, I can't be out for 6 months. And we talked about something. Aaron Hansel from Racer X had hit me up. It's like, what do you not miss the most? And I don't miss riding hurt, because once you start getting hurt, it just escalates.
Well, that's ultimately what happened was you tried coming back for the East-West at L.A. You'd already wrapped the championship up by that point, too.
I went and stayed at Spencer's, was doing the voodoo stuff. He thought it was going to heal, and I broke it all the way through in practice. And
L.A. Because L.A. always had those flatlanders a little bit more. And down
you didn't even crash. It just landed hard and
just
broke.
landed, and I knew it, and I was done. Yeah, and they said it broke all the way through. And then, then I just raced for the next year and a half with like a cast on.
Why wouldn't you go get it pinned? Or,
I don't think pinning. They wanted to do the bone graft.
Then.
They ended up taking bone off my hip at the end of '91. But by then, I learned so many bad habits. It's crazy that you change your riding style for the pain. Yeah, and we talked about it before. Like the jumps were so different then. There was nothing. The triples were just basically a double and a blob of dirt.
Yeah, they weren't great landings.
Yeah, and peaked. Yeah, so it was different.
Yeah, there's so many little things that they've improved. Like. When I was racing, it was hay bales, and they'd line even the landings of the jump in hay bales. And I'm like, why would you do that? Just let the landing of the jump give us some freaking corner.
We're smart enough to know not to jump off the damn track there, But that is – I remember one time I jumped on one of the tabletops, and I rode down the bales. Like today, that top block would have just ate me.
Yeah, that's the only thing good about the bales, or less they're evil, is that they would explode or they had a little give to them.
My femur begs to differ.
Oh, you got to. Well, I'm sure, but I mean, according to a tough block, from what I see, like those tough blocks almost grab you and suck you in a little bit more.
If you can still land on them, then they're good. If they grab you and you go to the dirt, then it's a bummer.
Well, I think if you land wrong off anything, Ping, you're gonna get hurt. So.
I'm just saying, there's good and bad about
the one where
those
Jet, landed on that one Supercross and got a little hurt. Yeah, that thing. Don't put them in places where they're not supposed to be.
Now back to you and flipping. I think one of my 5 races I did at the end of '89, we were at Budds Creek, and if I remember correct, you did a full kicker flip off the tabletop there up by where we used to park back in the day. Do you remember that one? Is that true? I don't
remember
that
one
in my head.
I don't remember that. No. Well, we used to stay there and practice, during the week and stuff like that. I don't remember crashing, but if it happened. And I don't remember it. That's probably for reasons.
I swear I don't know why.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
Yeah. Buds, I remember partying with Pharrell after you won the title at Buds in 02 or 92.
Yeah.
After the mutter, and we're making daiquiris in the truck and stuff, like still in our gear and shit. Like, let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then Somo and doing burnouts on someone's bike.
Yeah. We got thrown out of that place. Yeah, I mean, that was like something, again, I think I really enjoyed. I guess I didn't always have that like killer Bradshaw hate everybody. Like I always let's enjoy everybody's success. Let's have fun, It's like fucking hey man, this is rad. We're racing, we're living the dream that we wanted to live, and we're doing it, with people who have the same goals. So let's make it a little crazy, you know?
Yeah, but when you were rolling, I've watched a few videos back here lately, and a couple that stick to mind is you getting the whole shot both motos at Axton in 1990.
What a weird track is it? How weird's that track?
With that downhill start. And
it looked like it was just put together like, let's just have a national in this field here. It doesn't even look like a track.
Well, one of the lines you found was just off to the left of one of the kickers going up the hill, and he found this little line. And, I mean, if he didn't get tired, he was already kind of gapping out and just rolling, right? And
89?
90.
Oh, 90. Okay.
And my dad was, he's an old drag racer, so he's very meticulous on the starting thing, like every eighth of an inch and inch counts. And he told me with the downhill
it
start,
had a little drop to it too, right? Yeah.
Shift fast because you're with the gravity, you're going to want to get to that next gear.
Yeah.
And I did it both modes, and they actually had like a light. I don't think it was like a board.
Like a tree, huh?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it was really weird. Like it is such an off the wall national. If you ever watch it. Like we were just running up the hills. It was not. There's no banners,
Yeah. I watched that. But just watching you roll, your turn speed, how connected he was, finding these little lines. Like there was a lot of good there, and I think that had you been fitter at that time, maybe there could have been a few more moto wins. But where I'm going with it is the credit of how fast you really were. With you saying I wasn't that competitive, like
I was, but it was just like, I just didn't have. I guess sometimes I should have been more angry, like you said, like fuck everybody. Don't look at who's in front of you. Crush, and that's kind of how I felt you got in the arena cross. Like you found a different level of hunger and success with it that I hadn't seen with you before for a while.
Yeah, well, I think some of that is when we first came into this series too. Like, there were guys that rode the 250 class that were still 125 guys, so you weren't expected to beat them right away. So then you almost didn't put as much and bring that anger you're talking about to beat them because you're just like, they're supposed to get me at the end of this thing.
I'll bide my time. Yeah.
So, it's a little bit different approach. But anyhow, the next one is at Washougal in 90. You got the whole shot on that one, and I think you fell. But
first lap and Bale ran you over. But that 125.
I think you went longer than one lap.
Well, you know how gnarly those Suzukis were. I mean, those 125s were fire breathers. Like we were.
Those things were nasty. I remember it had like a little black carbon silencer on it.
That's 90 year.
It was gnarly fast, and it's almost like with Mitch's bikes, like they were next level there for a long time. And our Suzuki 125s, I think, because they were one of the first factories to put so much energy into 125 Supercross, and they delivered with some good bikes.
They did. And if you remember that year too, in particular, in 1990, Heben was our manager, and we tested probably more than, the next year barely tested, but that year in 90, we were out, even though Adelanto wasn't the greatest of
very weird for a Supercross track.
But Heben, I think, where did Heben come from at that time? Yamaha or Honda over to Suzuki? I'm not exactly sure, but
he was with Mickey through
with Yamaha, right, or Honda?
With Yamaha.
Yamaha. So he brought some of what they were doing, obviously, over in our Suzuki program, and we were prepared coming into 90. And then you look at Cooper won the championship that year, and Denny won the East Coast Championship. I won races like.
Was Gaddis on the team that year too?
Gaddis was on the team as well too. Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him because he would show up at Arizona races with those bikes, and I just remember tripping on how.
But it was a big team.
It was a big team.
Yeah.
Because Buell was a support guy.
Yep.
And then
because I originally signed a contract with Honda at the end of '89. I had two deals. Suzuki had a deal for me, and Honda had a deal with me. And I went. My dad and I had dinner with DeCoster. And as a kid growing up in the '80s, like Honda is the pinnacle at that time. So I signed a contract with them, and then I couldn't get bikes. Like we couldn't get bikes. Like something's going on, and I went to Bercy and rode a Honda 250 I'd never rode before. And then finally Dave Arnold called us and called my dad or something. And it's like, hey, between you and I, something's going on. You might want to look elsewhere.
Who said that to you?
Dave Arnold.
Yeah.
And it turned out that's when they brought Bale over. They basically took the money that they were going to do, for 125 team and put it into Bale. And so he called Pat Alexander and told him what was up. And fortunately, they made some space, and I got my big $18,000 contract that year.
Was that kind of the standard pay? Or were you guys making more?
The ironic thing for me in particular, I was already being paid as a mini bike rider, so my contract didn't change that much because they were already paying me, and they figured that was kind of the standard that Denny was at, across the board, and that's probably why they were able to have such a big team that year because I don't think anybody
was making a lot.
But that was pretty. I mean,
I don't remember.
My first contract with Mitch was $20,000 in '95.
Right.
Yeah, but you had to pay your expenses out of that, right?
No.
No? Okay.
No, they
Yeah.
covered expenses.
When I
too.
did the
there
agents-
just wasn't much salary.
Yeah.
When I did the agent thing for a while, and I worked with Grant and Trey Kennard, I obviously knew their contracts. You could have basically just add a zero to everything that I, instead of $118,000, they were making $180,000.
Yeah.
Their bonuses instead of $2,500 were $25,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so. I made 135 and 90. I would have made 1.3 with their contract.
Now.
And I'm like, damn it, man. They had me way too soon.
That's all right. The good thing is, Betty took care of you.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That his mom took care of
I
you.
always thought that, like, I've missed it because in your like a little bit before me, you guys were getting paid so much to go to Europe. I remember hearing guys making 10, 20, not Jeremy.
Right.
He was obviously.
But we hired an agent from like Germany, some woman who would just call me up and said,
Catherine.
Yep.
She would fax us our contract.
Yeah.
How about
She
her little
would.
motorhome rig?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see that thing
Oh,
over
yeah,
there?
we're in that thing. Oh,
Her
yeah.
husband,
Her husband, yeah.
they were characters.
They had the dogs
she'd
in
be
there.
smoking in the pits and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, everyone smoked in the pits.
Right. But she was like, set it up, like, hey, they want to bring you over and do this race. And I always sucked over there in Europe, but let's go. If they're going to pay to come race.
Yeah, it was paid, and then mine and Denny's first trip to Paris. We were at this hotel, and then we were asking about food or something like that. Finally figured out they were going to pay for our food at the hotel. So we found that one restaurant. We had duck. And
We were like, we thought we were so like we were very
This is
extravagant
awesome.
people. With like some duck,
and bring us that bubbly water.
yeah, water, no gas.
Yeah, no
water, no gas. Yeah,
Yeah, we were eating duck, trying all this, food we want now, but we totally
and
took
they,
advantage.
Eric Pernard obviously treated and Xavier.
yeah,
They treated us like rock stars and laid out the red carpet. But it was such a crazy time that to be in Paris at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
I always joke that I don't know if we actually appreciated it.
Absolutely not.
We bitched about the TV, like why can't we get a normal English channel? Yeah.
And then I think we had a day off back then. There was 2 nights of racing, day off, and then 2 nights. So on the day off, me, Denny, Chicken, we decide we're going Eiffel Tower. We're going to the Louvre.
We're going to be tourists. You didn't see it, yeah.
And we get going, and I'm sitting there in front of this Mona Lisa girl going, all right.
Yeah, that's not impressive at all.
And I look back at it now, I'm like, that's one that going to the Louvre was probably and seeing that. Like, how many people get to see that? Yeah. But we would bitch about just, oh man, TV's terrible here, and I'm tired and grumpy.
I remember in '97, I missed my flight. I can't remember what happened, and I had to stay a whole nother day, like another 24 hours, and I was so pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I've had that happen in Montreal. It's not fun.
A free trip.
Well, I know, but I'm in
over
Paris.
Europe.
How about go and do something, you stupid ass? Like, I just sat in my hotel and watched CNN or whatever it is.
Whatever, one English channel that came in.
We jumped on one of the trains. I remember. And we went down like Crazy Horse. Like, remember they had like that nude review. It really wasn't a strip club,
Yeah.
And so then we all jumped on the train. Well, the
And it
train
shut
down. Yeah. And so we're like in the middle of nowhere. Coming
Pop
up,
out of wherever the subway
What, at the
was.
end of the day, you mean? Like
End of the night.
It's like 2 a.m. or something, because they shut down the trains that
Oh.
late. And so we're trying to find a cab, and cabs won't take us because there's like 6 of us. So we're like 4 of you hide in the bushes.
Yeah, we did
We're gonna
that.
lock down this cab and then just all of us jump in because it's like they don't show up and you cannot get out. And it's just
But how good were the crepes?
crepes are nice. I remember
Those
how
like
good,
thin pancakes?
I like very thin
I do
pancakes.
like crepes. I do remember how light their pastries were. They're just were made better.
So anyhow, Ping, we did get out and enjoy some stuff, but it wasn't like the appreciation. I went back over there real quick with Barsha and 15 for the Motocross Nations, and me and Albrecht, we went to these castles, and I was just like
Blown
taking
away,
it all,
yeah.
blown it all away. Yeah.
I went for the Vet Motocross to Nations a few years ago and took my family.
That
We
looks like a great time.
Did the full London thing, the full Paris thing, and
I
was just trying to get
you were
my
You were the
kids-
Griswolds.
totally.
Big
like,
bed.
I just appreciate it so much more now. I wish I would have.
Yeah, I went to 3 weeks to Brazil doing Krusty one time with Kerry Hart, and I'm like, dude, all you did was bitch out your eggs being runny. Like, we're in Brazil, dude. Jeez.
I know.
Partying our asses off.
I was like that a lot. I'd piss and moan the whole time I was somewhere.
Well, Geneva was the worst.
And then I'd
'cause
get back and I'd be like, oh, that was cool. Like, you know what I mean? You always look
I was
back
so
and
happy
I
I was so happy to get home one time. Remember, I went on a 3-week. I think I went to Paris, Belgium, and Geneva. And I got home and I was like watching the Cosby Show, and I was like, I'm so happy to be home watching the Cosby Show. Like, how dumb are you, dude?
dumb American white
like
boys.
me and Denny actually did try some of the food there because we had a little expense account, so we had some fun with it. But most of the time you go over there and go eat McDonald's.
I know.
Like, and there's this whole culture of food.
You literally go to
now,
Japan and eat McDonald's.
This whole culture of food, and now that you're older and your palate changes, you start to enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
So funny. All right. Hey, that's your Method Race Wheels front end chatter. Go over to whiskeythrottleshow.com. We've got new merch over there, flannels, Motul wash buckets.
What's
cool
a Motul
gifts
wash bucket?
for Dad? It's literally a wash bucket that's got a bunch of Motul degreaser, bike wash, bike spray, chain lube, contact cleaner. It's got a brush and a whiskey throttle tee. Yeah, cool little Father's Day gift, Christmas gift, whatever you want.
It's a great idea.
Our guest is brought to you by
I don't have a
Therabody.
bike, but it sounds nice.
You can wash anything.
That's
as long as you got the bucket.
Exactly.
Milk anything with nipples, fucker. All right. Tell me about Omaha. You grew up in Omaha?
Born and raised, Nebraska kid. Yeah, it's home. We were talking earlier, and you're like, why are you still there? But
Because you can live like a king.
I just didn't know if you would stay there.
Well, I came out here, obviously, right after arenacross. I moved out with a job for Smith and lived up there in Temecula, Myriad area. And it's crazy. It's been a long time since I've been out here. And now we were driving from San Diego this morning, and you just start seeing just memories and stuff like that. But I also worked 69 miles away from where I lived. I chose to live in Myriad at Temecula because that's where Bud lived and stuff. I'm like, well, we'll hang out more and stuff. At the time, Temecula Myriad was just a shithole at the time. It was kind of developing.
It was small.
I feel like if I would have probably done like the Lebo deal and lived in down by the beach or something,
Yeah.
I would probably still be here. But
closer to your work.
It's shocking how you I miss the seasons. I mean, 95 and sunny every day. It's shocking how it gets old.
It does. No, living back in North Carolina for a couple of years, you'd be surprised. Yeah, you kind of miss those seasons.
I get so pumped when it rains, or even if it's just cloudy. I'm like, yeah, look at this.
It's something different.
Something besides blue sky.
And then I started
sun.
working construction and working out in the cold and stuff. I'm like, I hate the seasons.
Yeah. Well, Denny used to tell me when we were racing, and he would say, "Why do I want to come to California where I could live in Nebraska like a king?" With the money he's making at the time.
It's true.
And all
Cost
that.
of living is obviously dramatically less. Yeah. And my mom and dad are still kicking it and living there and stuff. And we talked, like, Riley's 19 right now. He's going to Lincoln, just 40 minutes from me, going to college and stuff. So we'll ride it out for a little bit longer.
I think it's super important to have family around, and those little things mean a lot. And you get away from them, and then you miss them a lot more.
Yeah.
You don't appreciate them when you're that close sometimes, but then you miss them.
What was growing up like there? I mean, did you guys? Your dad was a
My dad was a drag racer, and then went to Vietnam, came back, mowed the lawn for a while, decided this sucked, and bought a motocross bike, and then got me into it just because I was a little shit running around. And it like all of a sudden it became, instead of him going racing, it's like for me to go racing. As you know, the feeling, it was something that we could do as a family. Somehow, you were good. I'm good at it. So I was good at it, and it just got, I got a ride from Team Green, and then just evolved, and we've been doing this shit and it's so, how consuming it is. Like, it consumes our lives.
Do you think it's weird that why didn't you get your son into riding?
Because honestly,
or did he not want to? Or
he doesn't seem that he was kind of interested. Like, I'd gotten a little PW50 for him, and it actually got stolen out of the garage, and he never really asked about it again. And we've already lived it. Do we want to put our kids through this? I mean, it's great, obviously, but it's a different time.
And I think Riley wasn't asking to go riding. So
no, when the bike disappeared, and he didn't really.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So then asking about it.
Yeah, I'm like, well, why? And I didn't really. I already did it. Like, I want him to carve his own path, which he is, as all our boys do. Yeah. And it's a lot of sacrifice and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because we,
Well, I see, like, Deegan's got his boys, with Haley doing the NASCAR in the truck, which he had done in car stuff, and now he's got Hayden crushing it. That's a lot of work and a lot of dedication as a family to put yourself all through that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, put them through. So it's a matter of choice, right? So my son in particular, like when I was coaching, I had Mumford, Schwartz, like a lot of kids that were his age riding, and I'd take him to the track with me, and he just didn't want anything to do with it. So it's like, I think some of that goes to you, Denny. You know what the sacrifice is and what it is, and if this kid isn't really showing this as a passion,
I'm not going to push them into it. Yeah.
So it's weird because you would think automatically, they would do it.
I don't know that there's a right answer. I just find it curious because I didn't love racing when I first started. I like to ride a little bit of my PW, but then when we got into racing, I was like, I don't really like this. But my dad loved it. So we kept going until eventually I fell in love with it.
And the camaraderie with everybody you become friends with, you look forward to seeing them. You go practicing. You're like, just, especially for me, I'm an only child. So like hanging out with my buddies was rad. Like my dad would pick me up after school and we'd go to Fort Calhoun and practice, and my buddies would be there and like his buddies would be there. It's just like you're hanging out with the big guys. You're like a little kid. Yeah. It's just a rad feeling. And like I said, which we still have not gotten rid of, obviously. I mean, I don't like riding, but I love the sport. And the whole weekend, watching the races, like my dad, and I'll go over to my dad's and watch the supercross and tell stories, and we'll try and break down the races. And it's our life. Like, you're not getting out of this.
Yeah. No. Did you do anything else as a kid? Any other sports?
I played basketball for a little while, and
he's got a real low profile when he dribbles too.
Well,
you down on a power squad?
My dad, I played this. It was this elementary school. We were state champions. Let that be YMCA state champions.
Wow.
But the coach told my dad one time, because he would take me. It was during wintertime, so we would play on Saturdays, and then we'd bust ass down to Oklahoma or something to race. And the coach told my dad, you know what? You're gonna have to make a decision here. Basketball or dirt bikes. And I'm like, have you seen me play basketball?
Here's my jersey, coach.
And then I ran track in junior high because of a girl. Like, I'm going to follow her. And I was all legs. And I ran the 400, 200, and 100 yard, whatever. And I came off from the 400, and someone's coming over to me. I'm like, they're going to tell me what a great job they did. He's like, you need to stay in your lane or you're going to be disqualified.
You're block passing.
Well, I was really fast when I was little, and all of a sudden I grew up. Like, all of a sudden got these legs and these things. Like Dad said, it was like you look like a spider. They're just everywhere.
And which haircut were you rocking? The Dorothy Hamilton haircut at that time?
I was working the mullet. I think growing that in. Junior high. I didn't cut the mullet. I cut the Dorothy was at 90.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dorothy Hamill. You had like a little short girl's haircut?
I don't know what it was.
Think of
it was a bob.
I'm gonna need a picture.
It was kind of like Lloyd Christmas.
Oh, I have seen it.
Yeah, that picture of all of us, like all the Sugi guys together, like we're kneeling.
Wait a minute.
And my hair I look like a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, it's great. Someone just sent that to me. I think
I might have it.
I don't know how I ever got laid. It's a miracle.
If you can't find it, I think I know who just sent it to me.
Yeah, no, and we're all posed real weird.
So how'd you get your first bike? Pops got you what?
MR50.
MR50.
MR50, and there was another couple kids at the time. Italia jets were like the faster ones than the MR50s, and they were faster. These two brothers would always kick my ass, and the faster brother would chase the younger brother, and then in the last corner he'd pass him, and they go first and second.
Was it that one?
Nope.
No, this was way worse.
It's even more aggressive than that, huh?
Yeah.
But one race, the brother knocked down the little brother, and I got second, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Like I beat the brothers. But the MR50 had like Cronut shocks on it. It was such a primitive dirt bike to look at. Like, how did we ride those damn things? Compared to what they're riding now. Like a static was probably faster.
I was at a little local race yesterday. I was just doing some riding, and there was one of these Moto for Kids things, and there was kids on these little junior 60s or whatever. Maybe it's not even maybe it's a 50.
At 2 years old, they
were ripping.
Yeah,
like it's so impressive to watch. The bikes are so good, and the riders are just keeping up.
I started with training wheels. Like, you ever try to ride a motorcycle with training wheels? Like, you can't lean it over. Yeah. And I didn't like it. I was scared to death of it. So then we sold it, and then I learned how to ride a bicycle. Then the next year they got me another one, and that's what you look forward to. Like, a new bike, some new gear, Yeah.
So who was the fast local pros when you were a kid coming up?
Well, there's one specific, Greg Tice. Like, he rode nationals and was like next level, and he taught me how to slow down to go fast. Like, you need to. It's not just about balls to the wall, and so I learned so much from him. Like, I'm just trying to picture it and think, the stuff he had told me, but. I remember getting old enough that I could compete with some of the guys I really wanted to be, and how cool that felt, getting off a Mini and racing the 125 A class and going up and getting like an envelope of cash and stuff, It was that was pretty rad. Yeah, but Greg Tice is a big fan. Then Deegan obviously came up behind me. Mike Boston, Randy Tizer. Yeah, the motocross was, everyone in the 70s, like every city was booming. Like everybody owned a bike because they were so cheap. You could ride anywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally out of your house and just go in a field and make a track.
Yeah, it was such a cool time, the 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, and
Because it was-
Ponca and Loretta, there were 2 weeks of summer fun.
With
there,
everybody hanging out, yeah. I mean, I went to Ponca my first year in '82. I was winning locally, so
That was my first year, too.
a family had told my mom and dad, like, "Hey, you should take Denny down to Ponca. It's a big week-long race." And I went down there and won both classes. Like, and I always, whenever I see Bradshaw, I tell him, "I kicked your ass when you were 8, bro." And Team Green, I got a Team Green ride, and it just started, it's just a process.
Was
at
it
that
from
point.
that result at Ponca that kind of got you that?
Yes,
or-
yeah.
for sure.
I mean,
So
and
full privateer guy, you went to Ponca and won
just
a couple.
sponsored by a dealership, that gave us some bikes and stuff. And my dad, being a gearhead, was very meticulous on how the bikes ran and stuff. And they were always fire breathers.
And then Ponca was a long start, so you had to have a good running bike,
Starts,
too.
yeah. And there was with all the kids in Bradshaw. Bradshaw is factory. At the time, like he's sitting on the gate, he's just like just chilling. And my dad's talking. He's like, "Yeah, I was just practicing with Rick Johnson and Brock Glover last week and stuff." And I'm like, oh man, I was shitting my pants. And I, won. And then Team Green, Bob Brown, Scott's dad, was working for them at the time. And it just, like I said, it just went from there.
Scott Brown, there was a kid who.
He was factory.
What happened to him? He was badass.
He's which is funny because he got hurt a lot. And he's one of the first people I stayed with in California. They invited us to come out when doing Golden States and stuff. He's now, I think, a radiologist at a hospital.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he knows how to read an X-ray.
Shelley's real good friend has worked with him before.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Is he local out here?
I don't think he is anymore, but this is some years back that one of Shelley's friends.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's living now. They used to live up in Yucaipa.
Yeah, so he was doing it. What is it, Inland Valley there off of Merida Hot Springs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was there for some years. I don't know where he's now, but yeah, super fast. Like I can still have memories of watching him ride.
Him and
around
Kyle
town.
Lewis were like the shit on minis.
Didn't he have like black plastics on his like a Honda 80?
I think Jim Castillo had built him something like a carbon fiber,
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
like subframe or something. I don't know. I remember him in his JT gear, 111 on a Honda. Like you looked at him like, man, you just felt like he already beat you because he looked better than you at the gate.
Yeah, him and then Sean Kalis always sticks out to me. He was really, really fast, which is from your neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm sure you rode with him a bit.
Yeah,
and he brought the bus.
Grandpa Lloyd would roll that Greyhound bus out
and he was the first to have the
spit
bus.
out about 680s out the back.
Yeah.
They're just falling out as a
Dude,
Yeah.
you want to talk about showing up and feeling already beat. You're like, yeah.
The green carpet, like the fake carpet, roll it out and stuff. And you're just like, why did they have like green carpet here?
So
there's already dirt.
Who were the pro guys you looked up to then when you were a kid? Who would have been RJ?
Is obviously huge. I had him on the walls. I was a kid that just like I would run home. We're so lucky to have this TV, live and stuff. Like I would run home from elementary school to open a mailbox 8 days later to get the results of Cycle News. Yeah.
Do you remember that? I think this was just in
People can't
California.
even fathom that you didn't know what happened unless you called 1-900-GO-RACING.
Well, that was later.
Yeah, that was way later. Like to get results out of a paper that was mailed to you 8 days later.
Yeah, and then here in California they had maybe one Sunday out of the month they had a show on Sunday on one of the radio stations.
Oh, really?
I think it was I don't know, hour segment or something like that, and they just talked moto. I remember me and my dad listening to it, and I think it was once a month or every Sunday. I'm not sure, but that's how you kind of stayed up on
Or
stuff.
Motor World.
Motor World.
Motor
That's
World
what I
with
remember.
with Larry Myers.
I can hear that.
That still was delayed though.
Yeah, no, exactly. But, and you would only see a small glimpse of things. There really wasn't much other coverage of that.
Yeah, the moto clip would be maybe
by the
3 or
way-
4 minutes of moto.
By the way, Jeff Ward won.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
triple pump.
Yeah.
They show one time Ricky doing jazzercise or something like that too.
Well, Larry Myers is an icon, obviously, and he'd put his funny little spin on shit for sure.
Yeah.
And who else were at? Well, David Spain after that, and then there was you talked about the guy who did the street bike racing with.
Greg White.
Greg White did that for a while. Yeah.
Did Art Ekman do it ever?
The year that arenacross, when I told the crowd to kiss my ass, after I knocked Swap down, and they booed me and were flipping me off and stuff, and I basically said, hey man, we're bros. You don't like it, then tough shit. And so Art laid into me on Motor World. Like he should have his he should never be able to race American motocross again. He just insulted the entire sport. And so I wrote a letter into Cycle News. So that's how you communicated with people, Well, I'll show him. And then later,
let me sharpen my pencil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so crazy.
Mom, give me another piece of paper.
Totally.
Betty.
So I wanted to ask you guys this because
Typewriter.
I feel like the three of us probably all have the same feeling on this and share the same thing. Because when I was growing up, RJ and Wardy were the guys, right? And Dogger, just larger than life. And it's like all those guys now, we're friends with them.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like really? Like I'll be hanging around with one of them, and I'm just like, that's Wardy. Like,
yeah, because we were talking earlier. Like RJ did the arenacross broadcast. So he would show up at the races every once in a while, and then Glover was working with Dunlop.
Yeah.
He was PJ1.
PJ1 for a while.
Yeah, and I would I remember these iconic images from magazines, and I would start bringing them up to them to talk about and explain what happened in this photo, and we're hanging out with RJ.
And they were so into the racing, and they loved what we were doing. It was pretty cool too.
As I always said, I've never met a motocross hero that didn't live up to the hype. Like they've all been cool, other than Hannah. I think he's kind of a douche, but the rest of them are crazy, cool, passionate about it, and happy to talk about it and be cool about it.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. And I think they're just stoked somebody remembers what they did, right? Because they didn't have any exposure. We're talking about having a hard time finding out what happened. They were the ones doing it. And imagine how frustrating that is. When you win and nobody knows.
At Anaheim and standing next to Rick Johnson and fans are just walking past him, like you don't see that in other sports. No. Michael, no one's walking past Michael Jordan, but in my eyes, RJ was the Michael Jordan of that shit.
Yeah.
I don't think the history is quite embraced. Obviously, social media is helping. Shit like this is helping get the stories out there because there's a lot of great stories.
A lot of great stories, and that's what we try to highlight here. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. But if you go to car racing, baseball, football, basketball, fans of those sports know the history.
Yeah.
They know. They'll tell you exactly what Babe Ruth did, what his stats
and educated,
were.
Yeah.
We don't, and I know we're a younger sports, that's probably some of it, but when guys like the Lawrence brothers don't even know who Jeff Matasevich was, that seems like a problem to me.
Well, for sure, and I think that's a victim of...
Is that what you were saying earlier when we were talking? I heard you say something. I didn't realize that's what you were saying.
They didn't have any idea who he was.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They did come from Australia, obviously, a little, but
and they weren't born until after he quit racing. I get it, but
2000 was 21 years ago. 90 when I won.
I know.
It so seems, it's so vivid in our minds, but we're so old now.
Now, do you think that
I fart dust?
Maybe a little
it
on
happens.
Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe it's a little bit of the people that are really in the forefront of our sport, not kind of looking back and embracing our former champions and our guys that came before us? Do you think that could be a little bit of it? Because we can watch a NASCAR show or a football. I think I was watching some football last night, and they bring up all these old stats, these old players. They put them up there. They show old games. There's a lot more going on through that coverage to bring on, the history of things.
Yeah.
Our show, every once in a while, I think they profile somebody or something little, but I think there's more room to maybe highlight some of that.
I just think it gives you a greater appreciation for the sport when you understand how it was built
and how you got there.
I always say, you need to appreciate the guys whose shoulders you're standing on now.
Look at everybody just learned Denny was the second guy to skim whoops in the history of Supercross.
Yeah.
John Michelle, Denny Stephenson.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
I
think a lot of it too is there's only so much. You watch TV on ESPN. There's 24 hours of just talking about everything. And I did the Supercross broadcasts and stuff. You only have a small time to kind of get what you want to say, obviously, because the racing's going on, and then you got a commercial break, and then there's another race. So
but you're dictated in a path that the producer's taking you to, though, right? So. You can only do segments of what they want
listen,
to do.
There's a lot of fluffy bullshit in the middle of those broadcasts where they could do a little history segment.
Well, especially with Race Day Lives going on now, and it's funny to watch the fans bitch about the things. Again, we all want to make things better, but it's again, I was getting Cycle News 8 days later after the race.
Be appreciative.
I paid for my mom and dad paid the phone bill. $10. I called 1-800-MOTO. What is this 900 number? I swear it's results.
So I think maybe we'll get there, and I taken advantage of the new media outlets that are available and started this. I'll do a shameless plug right now for Saturday Night Live. This thing I started with David Bailey, and we are just announcing the race, you can turn your TV volume down and turn us up on the Spot Network, and we're commentating it.
It's kind of like the Manning show on the Monday nights these days, yeah.
And we're starting to, we did it from Oakland. He pulled a clip from the 84 supercross race there. It's same stadium.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he just narrated about 90 seconds
Is
of
that the one
race.
where Brock launched the bike in the stands? He got, I think Wardy went under him.
I think it was. And I can't remember who won.
The jumps were so, I mean, it would look like.
Oh, it was a mess.
It's just like, I'm going to throw some dirt on the floor and maybe some banners, and we're going to go racing.
Well, I think he said they had trucks and buggies and quads racing that track too, different directions and crossing over it. So it was just a shit show.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of stuff where you have a guy like Bailey talking about the comparisons of the depth of field back then, the tracks then versus now, you know. That's the kind of stuff that can tie you and you make it interesting.
Yeah.
So kids are like, oh, wow, shit, this is the same stadium they're racing on in 84.
There's a lot more to it than just what we're being seen sometimes, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so when did you get the Team Green help? What year was that you won Ponca?
82 was Yamaha. It was like my dad.
You were on Yamahas?
Was my first year. My dad always reminds me that Willie Almirodio was the Yamaha guy at the time. And you won a bike, like at Ponca. They gave you a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
And Yamaha didn't even really, the Team Green guys were, there, helped me take the bike off the stage. Willie Almirodio was just like, yeah, cool. You beat, I think he was more pissed that I beat Damon, their main kid, than, Team Green, was just like, man, what do you want to do? And he asked me something. My dad said the other day, he's like, Team Green offered you a ride. And you're like, no, I got good bikes from a dealership. I'm like, but my dad's like, stop talking.
Shut up, son.
Yeah, it's not that great. Trust me.
We don't need any parts.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're good.
All right, so both of you, I'll ask you both this question. The amateur scene today versus back then, better or worse, or why?
I personally hate it. I think it's it's built for one race, obviously. I mean, there was, we did there were so many different outlets to go prove yourself. Now everybody just, I think the camps, are, so ship your kid off to a camp, don't race, practice your ass off. You learn nothing from practicing. I mean, racing, I think that, I think that American motocross, obviously, the GP guys are currently kicking our ass in the sport of motocross. Supercross, obviously, we're the fastest, but look what Jet and Hunter show up, and they've already taken over the sport. I mean.
Well, they said if they weren't going to let Jet move up to pro, they were going to send him back to Europe. He said the amateur racing here is so much worse,
right?
That's what I hear people
than the
say.
program in Europe. He was going backwards, and they said you either moving to pro or we're sending him back to Europe.
Yeah, so it's. I don't think we're seeing the best of these kids. I don't think they're fully prepared. That's why
I think Europe's taken more of a developmental
with
state?
the EMX and all that stuff and. Just racing, they race. There's the British series, there's the Jeep, and they all race. There's, Corollis and Harleys are racing their local series before they even race nationals. We would race all the time.
Yeah, we raced a lot,
Every weekend my dad
you would come out and do the Transcal and Golden
every
State.
race. My dad would drive me. If it got cold, we're driving somewhere. I would race 50 weeks a year or something. Even if the nationals were off or something, I would go race with my buddies. I think you forge a different mentality when you got to line up at the gate. And you got to deliver.
Yeah.
You're racing, but I think practicing because you're out riding. I think there's a lot of mentally weak guys right now that are just not making dumb things. And I think if they were forged a little differently, that the performance would be better.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a tough question, and I think Danny answered it really well. And it's tough for me because I'm in that game a little bit, and it's getting more and more as I'm building back my business here in California. But there's definitely a disconnect somewhere in there. I know a little bit of changes. They're trying to make some of the other events have longer motos like Loretta, so it starts to prepare these kids. There is the Combine now, which is so they're trying to make that change. But I also think that, to what Denny said, is sending these kids off to camps. I think there's a space for it. But really, how long do you do it? You know what I mean? It's one thing to maybe go
quality over quantity.
Yeah, and it's maybe one thing to go learn something over a couple months and go home or a month. But then to be there year round, little Johnny still getting 15th at Loretta's, where is it? You know what I mean? So sometimes, like you said, quantity over quality or quality over quantity is sometimes a better way to look at it.
Do you encourage your kids to go race?
You hone your craft by racing.
Yeah. Do you encourage your guys to go race more?
I do. Yes, I do, and I say that all the time.
Like even this little thing I was at, I was like, how many races do these guys do? And they're like, oh, it's only 6 rounds. And then, there's a handful of little series, but there's no Golden State. There's no more Transcal. There's no more GFI. Where the hell do you even race?
No, so it's you have a Swap Moto series, I think, that I know of, and I think that's pretty much it that I know.
Wild. There's nothing out here, dude. So the Arizona Classic or whatever that's called.
ACP. That's a great race, though.
Which is a great race.
It's a really good race.
What did that
Mammoth, the Cal Classic. Name me another big Southwestern race. Like, that's it.
That's it. No.
World Mini, is that still going on?
No, World Mini. Cal Classic took place at that.
I'm just saying, there's only 3 big races in the entire Southwest in a year.
There is. And they happen October, November, December, something like that. Like, I think Cal Classic is in October, and then December's ACP.
Mammoth in June.
And I think there's a mini major in between there in
that could
November.
be as well. Again, it goes back to the fact that we were a kid. When I was a kid, obviously there was 100 tracks. They were everywhere, and there was at least a dozen of them within an hour of Omaha, Nebraska. I couldn't even tell you where one is right now. I mean, it changes.
Our difference here was it went from, guys were racing 4 or 5 nights a week to then as that faded away and those tracks went away.
Yeah, you could race on every 4 nights a week or something like that, right?
But then during the week when that
shit
shit started to go away,
right?
Then it was just burn out shitty tracks all week. So if you wanted to go ride a good track, you had to race on a weekend.
Yeah.
That was prepped and watered and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Now, 5 days a week. Prepped, no bumps. You can come out and feel like a hero till 10:30.
What tracks are out here? Like what? I mean, like Pala, obviously.
Kauai, Paula, Paris, State Fair, Glen Helen.
But did they race or did they practice?
They practice.
They just practice.
So racing's gone away.
Racing here and there.
Yeah, sure.
Not much.
I mean, Glen Helen seems like obviously MXA is always pushing REM and all that stuff.
Yeah, but that's the same 150-year-olds, or whatever.
Yeah.
There is no big series, is what I'm saying. Like Golden State or Transcal
the
or
old
GFI.
Winter Series in Florida,
Yeah, well, that's a good thing about when we came up too. Is you had these series and you earned points through the series too. So you learned a points race a little bit coming up when we were racing, and now it's just single events. How good can you do for that week or that 4 days or that 3 days?
Well, even the supercross that they did, the futures or whatever. I mean, there was 12 kids there. Like, why would you not have if you wanted to educate your child and get into what's going on, it'd be like, why would you not have your kid there?
Yeah, that's weird.
Why were there only 12 kids?
That's just really weird.
Maybe they didn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is
that the mentality of the kids, the parents? Like,
I'm super. I don't want to be like the sky's falling, but I'm concerned with the direction that's going. Then you got electric bikes coming in.
Right.
There's a lot of these changes, and nobody likes change, right? I mean,
sure.
But I don't know, man. I get a little worried where it's headed.
Well, I mean, it's very true that you should be, and like Denny said, like the GPs over there, like the Lawrence brothers said, you said earlier, I've heard a couple people on your show say how much better it is over there in Europe, and if we don't start grooming our kids to evolve, we're gonna
something's broken here, I think, right now.
And for me, just looking on the outside, we got promoter, and there's disconnect between the promoters to try to. How do we elevate everything? That's what I see. I'm not on the inner circle of the promoters, but that's just me on the outside looking in, and there needs to be a space for more of a series, east, west, whatever. Because in the north, and when we used to have Transcal, you did races down here in Southern California and Northern California. So you got some rain up north. You got, you had different environmental situations, which these kids see 75 and sunny all the time. If it's not, they don't race.
Yeah.
But then they go back to Loretta's and you got to do a mud moto. What do I do?
Yeah. I mean,
are your goggles ready?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do I prepare my goggles?
Yeah. And It's nothing against the talent today.
But
I just think it's
I will say the
different.
talent across the board, and this is going to be trainers and clubs and all that. These kids are learning things at a quicker level than you and I did.
It's like in every sport, becoming so
it evolves, right?
Yeah, there's a
very specialized, very early.
Very specialized. Yeah. Like coaches don't want you playing football and basketball. They want you to focus 12 months on one sport, and so I understand and respect it, but I just think there's a different path.
There's also a lot of coaches and doctors that say that specificity early on leads to burnout and injuries at a way higher rate than if you are a multi-sport athlete.
Right.
Because playing a little basketball is going to help your hand-eye coordination for baseball.
And
football is going to
building different muscles. Exactly.
Yeah. So for us, I just think, man, if I was a parent, I would still have my kid just doing other shit. Maybe not team sports because it's so time-consuming or whatever, but man, go mountain biking, do some snow skiing. Let's go surfing. Let's go do some other shit that is physical and will help you to.
It's competition, I mean, right now, start the racing to compete compete. That's how I met Fro. You know, my dad would drive us down to Missouri, and he was from Missouri, and we'd just battle, you know, and that would just by ourselves. Like there'd be like 4 kids on the line, you know, but it's like, all right,
you guys battle no matter what.
I got to beat Fro, you know, because it was like
kept you pushing though.
It's like, oh fuck, is Emick here?
Yeah,
I saw him at the sign-up tent.
Yeah.
All right, I got your guys' Loretta Lynn's results right here from your entire amateur racing career, and Denny, you went a little bit more often, starting in '83, and you went last in 2007.
Old man's class.
You've got 3 championships at Loretta's.
Yep.
A couple of seconds. Couple top 5s. Budman, you got 1 title in '88.
1 title.
85,
Woo-hoo!
14 to 15.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of seconds. So we talked about this earlier. You're probably racing like Jimmy Button, Swinkster.
Swing. Yeah.
Who else would have been?
Oh, geez. John Kitch was in there. Remember him? I think
Hank Marie. Was
Hank
he?
Marie.
Was Damon in your group?
Damon was probably in that.
I would say he's around that same.
That 85.
Fro would have been in there too, yeah?
Fro was just under Denny, I believe, right?
He's just like a year younger than I am, I think. Yeah.
On paper?
Well, it depends. The birth certificate is still very shaky.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, like you know, Denny obviously winning 3 titles there. Like, I didn't even realize you won 3 titles there. Like,
I didn't either.
I knew you won 1, but
well, you know, let's be honest. Like, if you put Loretta's have so many different classes, you could probably avoid the fast guys somewhere. But I rode. It was the schoolboy class. I was schoolboy. It was the 2 schoolboys.
Well, you did 250 A mod.
That last one, that was a good one.
125 stock and modified, 12 to 15.
It's gnarly, you know. That's what it goes back to. Like, there's so much
the
pressure.
Horizon Award.
So much pressure as a kid, like to line up at Loretta Lynn's, like. You're like, oh, okay, here we go. Family spent all their money to get me here. Does not fuck this up.
Don't you remember back then, too? I remember one story, like, going back to Loretta Lynn's, like, they had that little pool hall that you could hang out there by up there. And
it was an experience.
Damon would be shooting pool, would be shooting pool, and then, you know, listening to music. Like, all the kids, like, hanging out in that environment.
I think it was fun. Up, like, in Ponca, the arcade. I think it was Jeff DeMint. Like, he just had won the 60 or whatever. And he hands his bike to his dad, and I just had me stand there, and he pulls quarters out of his pants, like he's heading straight to the
riding
arcade.
pants?
Right then, like he's prepped, man. Like that, like Dad,
Auto's done.
Bike's done. Let's go play some video. Let's go play Pac-Man.
I'm gonna go get my quarter on the Excite Bike table.
Exactly. I was like, you know, that is just a kid being a kid, and I think, there was so much to do. That's why I was so pumped to go back, and you've been back to Loretta's as well.
Yep.
You know, I went back one year just by myself, and when I was working at Smith, and Doc Wobb helped me and stuff, and then the next time I went back with Michelle and Rowley and Zach and stuff, and like I wanted to let them see that
that's awesome.
It is. It's like it's a cool experience, you know. When I was talking about the sports not broken, but and that everybody puts all their emphasis on Loretta's. Loretta's is fantastic.
It's great.
You know, I'm not bashing Loretta's in the least. It is an experience at all ages that you should experience. Like I have a buddy, Matt Byton's going to go down and race this year and stuff. He's never been down there. And like you're in for a treat, man. It's a lot of work, but you're gonna have a great time. Even if it doesn't go well, you'll be at the beer tent, you know. And you'll see everybody you haven't seen forever. Yeah.
I want to go.
It's hot and so miserable though.
In 2017, Bud, you pulled a 6th in the 40 plus.
I did, yeah.
Who were you racing?
Couple crashes. Dude, I battled with
Barry
Gruey and Barry Karsten.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, just Barry in all his years there, right? I struggled with the track at first. Practice was like one of the roughest tracks I've ever ridden. The straightaways had bumps. It was weird. And then I think the first moto, I still didn't have the flow of the track, but it was a little muddy earlier moto. And then I stalled the bike on the last lap. Rookie move, right? Ended up 6th. And the next moto, Barry's in front of me. I go, okay, I'm just going to follow Barry or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, there's the flow of the track. And then I started going and then got into a big battle with him and Gruey. And I had a blast. The plus 25 class sucked. I did it for some more track time and to see if I could. But those guys are like you're lining up for a national.
Yeah.
And the plus 40 class, we were all just laughing, having a great time, which you could probably imagine. And it was a lot of fun.
I haven't been there since '92.
It hasn't changed. Like Davey brought me down there to announce before, and like you crest that hill, and it's like it's like a Rockwell painting.
I feel like it's way bigger though. Like when I see the parking lots now.
Well, because
like the old
bigger.
jetting area.
Yeah.
That's just filled with
Well,
campers
imagine
now.
like we went in the van. Everybody's in campers now, so you're using up twice the
You're using
space.
up a lot more space. Yeah. Now they have a band set up down there by the creek, like with different bands. Some things going on, and it really is worth it. And I think if you're 92, you're at your time you should be going back. Because I think I was 88 the last time I raced there, and then 2017. So you're right in that curve right now.
Is there a 50 plus? Maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah, they think that. Yeah, there's they changed the rules like former pros can only ride. Different older classes.
Yeah, so at that time I could only ride the 40 plus and the 25 plus. I couldn't ride the 30 plus or anything like that because me and Nathan couldn't, Ramsey. But still, it was a great experience. I got a mud moto in there. Would you get a mud moto in your?
I don't know if it did.
God, I hate mud. See, if it rained, I would just pack her in. I'd be like, I'll take the 40th.
I just,
for that moto.
I'm out.
Just give me a 4-0.
Being down there doing Smith and stuff, like, it's the only place I've ever been to at 7:30 in the morning, you've already sweated out your T-shirt. It's like you cut the air with like a knife. It's so humid.
But it takes a lot.
And then, like you said, how rough it was.
How rough, yeah.
Like I remember walking the track at Redbud when I went up there with Gilmore, and it was after amateur day had run. I'm like, there's shit everywhere. They create different riders, different talents, create such a crazy track. Like it's nothing like the Nationals. Like Nationals,
you know where the bumps are going to be.
You know where the bumps are going to be. They're late in the corners. Like there was just bumps everywhere. And lines going everywhere. It's like, man, this is crazy. And so you just say that about Loretta's. It does. Like you get, if you especially grew up racing Nationals, you learn a flow with the track. Like riders,
it's not what you've been used to.
Pro guys carve a track. Amateur guys, look the fuck out. Yeah. And nothing wrong with that, but it's just like there's so many different levels of talent.
That's what ended up happening. I had to start going where I wanted when I followed Barry instead of following the amateur line.
Right.
Once I started doing that, I'm like, oh, there's a different track.
Like there's literally braking bumps, like you said.
Yeah.
100 yards from the turn.
Yeah.
And acceleration. Yeah. And it's crazy. When you said that, I totally remembered that. And Loretta's is, you're like, man, I'm just trying to find the flow.
Yeah. I remember it feeling tight and small on a 250 though when I raced it as an amateur, and I just can't think now on a 450. It's got to just feel like a little kid's track.
Yeah,
right?
It was real tight. Yep, absolutely.
Well, maybe 1 year.
I think how they changed it now after the National, it looks a little bit, just a slight bit more open, but
widen it up a touch.
Yeah, it was tight.
Okay, so you moved up into the pro ranks in '88.
88, yeah, 88. I was doing
Team Green still, or what was your?
We had a crazy time then because you could ride Loretta's, bust out some supercrosses, race some nationals without jeopardizing your amateur status. So 88, yeah, I was literally still going to graduate in high school. Racing, that was my first full year of supercross, but again, that was maybe 6 or 7 rounds, and then did a few nationals, and then 89 was like Kawasaki was taking me more under their wing, let me at the track and stuff, and then 90 was when everything.
Where'd you get the number 360?
My dad's number was 160 because he used to race nationals, so he had 160, so I had that for a while, and then we all seemed to adapt our first number that. Ponca or Anime, that's where I got it from. And yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. What do you remember from? It was Houston, 88. You got a 10th. It was an East-West shootout.
Yeah. Well, that's impressive.
I really don't
it's
remember
pretty good
much.
for a
first debut, I guess. I mean, it gets again. I mean, obviously, I think it's the depth is now it's is faster, and there's so much more good equipment and stuff, and that first year was just kind of like no one rode supercross. Like you just show up.
You weren't
at
a disadvantage going through the race.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I just showed up like everyone did, and just like there was no like you could bring talent into it, and then talent could survive you those first few times, and if you survived the whoops and the triples and all that shit, it just kind of just kept snowballing. But I remember
get some more races under your belt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what do you remember from that race?
Houston, my first year. Yeah. I remember they had like I think I hurt my thumb in practice, and so I was like really not feeling comfortable for being a first race. And I think there was a huge like triple step up deal that like they would put so much
Houston brought a lot of dirt in back in that day.
Yeah, a lot of dirt, exactly. Yeah. And their jumps were big, and
did DeHoop win in '88? Who won the East Coast?
I think DeHoop.
DeHoop won. DeHoop and Jones went to the last round, tied. I think they were like. Whoever was going to win the main, or whoever beat who in the main, was going to win the title, and everybody was so nervous.
God, that's a lot of pressure.
And for somehow I ended up being lined up in between them, And I could just see them. They're just like, Jones is already really intense, and Todd's pretty intense too. And I remember I just yelled at the top of my lungs, and they both looked at me and like, let's just break the tension, guys. Lighten this shit up.
You guys are making me nervous.
Yeah. But I rode, and the last round was Meadowlands, and I rode both classes. I qualified.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You did a twofer?
That was my first podium.
Look at this guy.
And I walked off the podium and went down and got on my 250 and put in about 5 laps. I said I'm exhausted because I went to every heat race.
This qualifying was different than it was top 4 out of the
heat
and then
semi
5,
last chance. Like I got one last chance, and then I'm like, oh god, no.
So you warmed up for
the 125 heat race. I think I rode literally 6 of the 8 races. I think that night.
Well, you got a third in the 125, your first podium.
Yeah.
So that was a good night for you.
Yeah.
Plus, you made $1,000 for making that 250.
Probably like $18, I think. Yeah.
So this one was February, and then his next one was May when he got the third.
Yeah, I mean,
shoot, that's a pretty quick learning curve there.
Your curve
Debo.
is good. It's like 10, 12,
Did he win
7,
the next
5,
one?
6, 3. No, that was.
Then the next year was when Damon and Kudrowski were battling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 89 right here. Well, let's see.
And they were
That
like,
was his first
one.
Damon
East
was
Coast guy.
next level, fast.
Yeah.
That was the one he could fall down first turn, come back, beat him, maybe
he
go
would
down
just,
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, the way he rode was just like you're looking at him going, man, it's gonna be a lot of work to try and beat him, which I didn't very very often. But
So you got a podium at Supercross your first year. You did 3 nationals.
my first
like.
250 national, I think, was 88 maybe, 88 or 89. I got a 9th at Anaheim.
That was 89.
89 would have been
Yep, you top 10, yeah. So you got a 10, 7, 10 of your nationals. Then in the next year, still Team Green?
88, 89, obviously 90 was Suzuki.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then that's when I thought I was like Cowie had no interest. Like they just like it was great working with you. We'll see you. That's when Fro started stepping up.
So 88 to 89 though, did they increase support or anything or no?
Yeah, I mean
you got a podium. Like shit, I would.
Yeah, right.
I don't. It's funny. I don't know what I wasn't getting paid or anything like that. I think but a ton of bikes. They'd let us keep the bikes and sell the bikes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And like mom and dad were making it work.
So here's a good question for both of you guys. So your sophomore year, you're doing 250 Supercrosses for extra riding time.
Yeah.
Regret that now?
No, that's another thing. Like
because of
it would move you out.
Points.
Because of the points, you guys both got hosed.
But at the time, I didn't even like my plan was moving up. Like I didn't even consider staying another year. I don't think Suki didn't even mention it to me. I'm like, let's move up. I'm going to the big body class. I had a 2-year deal, 125, 250. Like Chicken, we had talked before. It's just progression. Like it was never in a thought process that I was going to stay in this class because it was treated that way.
And I don't think in the 125 class back in the day, you was thinking about your career was there. Your career was in the 250 class. I think that's more of how it was. You thought about it, right? So, like him doing those 250 races, he earned a lot of points. Towards his expert license. But you also did outdoors too.
Like I didn't earn a number. Like from 88 to 89, like I was like a pro-am pro card. Like I wasn't. They had different levels and the way you accumulated points. But again, like at the time, I'm like, well, I want to move up. I wasn't even planning on staying down. But I still rode 125 outdoors.
Yeah, which that happened a bunch back in the day.
Yeah.
So you're still earning points for 125 outdoors? Then?
Yeah, you still did. If you were the top pro-am guy in the moto, you got top pro-am points towards your expert license.
That's it. You could be 12th and get 5 points.
And be the top pro-am, and you get 5 points or whatever. And then say I was 12th, Denny was 13th, like I put him behind me. And then he would get, one
See
less.
What I did there?
One less. Seriously, I did.
But then we didn't even get national. Like I said, I earned a national number until you got that expert license.
No, I got a national number.
You're number 60 in 90, right?
in 90 for my 5 races I did in.
Well, I got one for 90, but 88 I did not earn one in 90. Like 90 I did not get one, or 89 I did not get one from 88. Even though I'd rode nationals and stuff, I didn't.
Yeah, maybe it changed from 88 to 89 in their points. You never know. It's always evolving with the AMA in there.
That's why we're talking on our text thread with some of my buddies and like, are they really gonna move Justin Cooper and Colt out? Are they just will there be another rule change?
Yeah, the
ever evolving
the star racing
ever
rule
evolving
or
goalpost moving. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I just wonder because both of you really, but like Bud, especially you, I feel like
for me, for sure, it moved me up before I was ready. Denny had won the championship, and I think he was ready to go, other than injury. But for me, if I look back, I thought I was ready, but not having something on the line to go up to was the wrong move. And Mitch offered me a deal to stay back, but I, thinking everything at 19 years old, and past going this way.
Stay back how? How would you stay back?
I would have just not raced San Jose.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh, really? So you could have missed one race and
been good, yeah. Oh, I had to miss two. I'd have missed San Jose and L.A.
And plus you.
So Mitch was thinking about that, and
he was no, and he awfully where I was, he offered me a McGrath deal for the next year. Obviously, they were switching to Kawasaki's at the time, so there could have been maybe a little difference in the bike, but it still would have been the move for me. If you look back at it, the way Denny.
Yeah, you were clearly faster than Gaddis at
yes,
the time.
Absolutely,
and he won the title that night.
Absolutely, and you look at Denny's, kind of progression through his 250 racing, his supercross, and his evolution led him to the 90 championship. He kind of moved up through, and I had a good year, a bad year, so I didn't really kind of find that flow.
And I think a lot of that has to do with you were 16, like.
Yeah, I was young, pro.
Yeah, right. First, Suzuki basically. Here's a plane ticket, kid. Get to the races. We'll see you. We'll see you at the track.
Ron Heben used to drop a rental car off at the terminal, and I'd come outside, and he'd be like, "Here's your rental car. All right, see you at the track." And I'm 16.
So I think the maturity level, you sometimes 18 years old is young to be thrown to the wolves. In the 250 class. And not have any other opportunities at that time. Yeah, it's intense, and it's like it's career changing. Obviously,
it's career changing. Yeah.
Well, I probably oversay this, but I get a lot of heat for staying in the 125 class all those years. But it's like I was always going, okay, I'll win this 125 title, then I'll sign a 2-year deal to defend it, and then get a one shot on a good 250. Like that was just all I wanted. Give me one good shot on a good bike.
Yeah, and I don't think you should have any shame in that game. If, like I said, I look back at mine and it was too early just because that. Like now I believe that you made all the right decisions to keep earning your way in the sport and achieve what you wanted to.
Extend your career. It's obviously, that's our whole point why we.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and look, what I think it's better now if you point out you can go to a BTO sports team or
there's more options. Yeah.
Twisted Tea. That's better bikes than privateering it and better support, right? Like in our day, it was if you either factory or
there were four.
Get into your pickup truck.
4 teams and 3 or 4 guys on each team, and that was literally it. Yeah.
And every guy on that factory 250 team had won a 125 title.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You didn't get a spot unless you were proven you could win a title.
Yeah. No, very good point.
So I just. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for you guys who were in those early rules days where they were.
Do you think a guy
dicking it up
has to stay till he wins a 250 title? Do you think that?
I don't think he has to, but
I don't think he
has.
But
if you can at least prove,
there's no 450 riders today that did not win a 250 title. Like that's the mark.
So it's still the standard,
yeah,
right?
That's the mark. Like do you have to be that?
But I look at like Nick Way. He broke the mold. No 125 championship. Moved up with that MDK team, which was
was that his first 250 ride?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he went on to Factory Suzuki and had a great premier class career. But that is not the norm.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nick Way's got a big heart too, and he's got a lot of dedication and hard worker, and that'll pay off. And he wasn't. I don't think Nick's a guy knowing him gets caught up and I got this bike, they got that bike. He's going to make.
He's just going to race.
Yeah. Whatever tool he's got, he's going to use it to the best of his.
And I just always feel like guys are height, bud.
Yeah.
High five
on the short dog.
Nothing.
Yeah. 5 mil taller, 5 mil back.
I think bikes, having access to somebody to help you set the bike up, whether it's a 252 stroke or 450 now, means makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Like I look at Alex Martin, great
rider. Is he really
rider.
5'4"? They said on the broadcast he's 5'4".
I think they're giving him a couple extra inches.
No, I mean he's doing well, but that 450 looks like a.
He does look a little.
He looks like a toddler.
Yeah.
Let's just be really honest.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Like, does he have tall pegs? And does the bike lowered anything that he changed the dynamic of it?
I'm sure
because he's like that bike's so gnarly. Like him doing what he's doing is cool, but he looks like he stole his dad's bike.
So how important is it to have a guy on a team whose job is chassis and suspension to help you?
Super important.
Forget motor.
Yeah. especially when you get on the big bike.
We got to make this thing.
You know, and from the 125 to the 250 back in the day, there was a big suspension and chassis movement that you need. You can ride that 125 a little bit more and get away with some things. 250 not. Now it's the same thing, and the 450s even gives you more that can damage you if it gets away from you. Yeah. You know, it's whoop, like the 125 guys can pretty much send it into the whoops, and she's going to run out a little bit of power generally. 450 guys, she's still got a little bit more mid whoop if you want it.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, she does.
I think Dino posted something the other day on Instagram, and it was a video of him going through the whoops. He's like, grab fourth gear and pin it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
Yeah.
Says the guy with long legs.
Yeah. Says the guy. Yeah. I think my feet, I don't know about you, but my foot hit the peg every third whoop or something like that.
About every third whoop, I would hold my breath from about 5 feet before the first one until I was into the next turn.
That moment when you realize that your front wheel missed one whoop.
Yeah.
You're just like, like I think it was Alex. He crashed in one, I think, in the whoops in practice, and it just was like, oh God, we're going.
Yeah.
You know, like it's gonna be a ride, man.
Oh, dirty.
Yeah.
All right, so 89, you're still with Team Green. Apparently no extra love, but you're doing some 250 supercrosses. You just jumped up.
I just wanted to race, man. And, if there was a race to be had, I'm going to show up and line up and race. And yeah,
okay.
I mean, and that
Don
was,
and Denny were already on the road, so they probably just
well,
figured, let's hit the next one.
we were doing ultra crosses and stuff, so we were kind of
that was a cool little series for everybody. Back
already
in
doing the Mickey Thompson stuff, and so they were obviously doing the supercrosses out west, and so you kind of felt like you knew the tracks and stuff. So yeah, and again, like my dad, if there was a track or if there was a race going on, we were at it.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was the mentality. Yeah, that's how you obviously the pay window was open at the end of the night, and that's what you did. You know, and it's probably a little bit from what you learned coming up, like you're saying, always racing as an amateur too.
And that's the round. I think that one of the first rounds Bale was at, and he remember off the start he lands off on the hay bales or something and eats shit. You ever seen that? Yeah.
San Diego or
that
Anaheim?
was Anaheim.
Yeah.
Anaheim. Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
Do you
about.
know that bike? That exact bike is in the upstairs attic at Pro Circuit.
Oh wow.
Leroy found it and bought it. It's got like the AMA tag on it, the whole deal.
Well, that story that Bale had posted on his Facebook, because I guess he got a book coming out or something, that when he wanted to come over, and Mitch is like, okay, or Honda was like, okay, but we can't let the riders know that you were bringing you over or something like that, and he had to hide the bike or something, and he just came over his own dime and went and just like showed up and won. You know, and he drove.
Won Gatorback, right?
Gatorback the first year, but he came and then he rode the 500. I think he showed up for rode like the last couple 500s year before or something like that. Just wanted to come over. Like that mentality is just badass. You know, I mean.
Oh man, there's.
I wonder if he got any duck when he's over here.
Well,
not everybody gets duck.
Not everybody gets duck.
You guys are just all greasy and glazed over.
Man, hey, bud, how's your duck? My duck's good.
You got any more au jus?
That's like that Dave Chappelle comedy piece. Like, my kid doesn't eat chicken; he eats duck.
Watch him go.
Yeah.
All right, so you had a whole bunch of force this year. Miami, Atlanta, Irving, Pontiac.
Apparently I knew my place.
Fourth was your jam. Podium, though, you got third at Pontiac. Third at Daytona, that's nice.
Ooh.
Third at East Rutherford.
Daytona, I think 88. I should have won Daytona in 88. It was a lot like the track I practiced on. Got the whole shot.
The riverbed.
Took off. And I remember eating shit, and I was a big roll-off guy. And the roll-offs are flying behind me because I broke them or something after I crashed. But I was like, man, that one got away from me. Like you lost it in the whoops. I think I flew up on the speedway on the concrete. But the picture of there's a photo I think with my roll-offs just flying behind me
I've seen that
blew that
somewhere.
one.
Did you ever win Daytona?
90.
You did win.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As Fro called me one time.
He's a big baller after that one.
He's like, hey man, our names is in the Hall of Fame, like the Daytona Hall of Fame for just winning. I'm like, well, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Someone mentioned that on your show not too long ago. Someone that was always, who was it? Anyhow, they were saying how cool that was too. That they'd always be in the Daytona.
Yeah. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Yeah.
I was 2 laps away, man. I almost had her.
Was that the pinky?
Mm-hmm. Shh. I can tell that story.
Denny, show me your pinky.
Oh, yours is jacked up worse than mine. I got a little hook.
This is actually from a fight.
Oh.
Grayson Goodman in a Denver arenacross. I snagged it in his jersey. And
you never thought they had that fixed?
I actually.
God, it looks like what's the guy's hand on the Scary Movie? When he's
and then this one,
strong
I
hand?
broke this one at a local when I was trying to race. It was actually the last time I raced a bike. Chad and I were there, and I ate shit in practice. I think it was in practice, and he jumps over the fence and it's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Fuck it, get this thing out of you. We're done. Racing's stupid. I don't want to do this ever again."
This is Pedersen?
This Chad.
Oh, this Chad.
Yeah.
Hey, his hand puppet skill though is
It's on point. Look at that thing.
This thing, I call that the taint.
taint what?
It
Taint my pinky anymore?
It ain't gonna perform the shocker because it's headed south.
It taint in one hole, it's in the other.
That thing's you turning back towards my hole.
Yeah. Motocross is a dangerous sport. It'll beat you up.
You two can lose a pinky like that.
Yeah, I don't know your pinky story.
No, it's a long story. I'll tell you.
All
right. Where's next?
All right. So 89 wraps up. Nationals are just sort of okay for you. Doesn't look like you do them all either.
In 89 or 90?
89. I think you did about 5 or 6.
I got hurt or something. It's like that was like.
Oh, look at this. Budds Creek's not until October.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was in October.
Dad said we went to Unadilla at the end of one year and it was snow on the ground. You know, like when they talk about how long the series is today, like.
Yeah, we didn't finish till October back in the first 2 years.
There was 18 rounds of Supercross, 12 Nationals, and it ran from January till Christmas almost.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't realize they had mixed in so many Nationals. Okay, so moving on. How did the Suzuki deal come about?
You know, I don't know. They just.
You said there was something going on with Honda.
Well, the Honda deal,
thing.
you know, I signed it. I actually did sign the contract with them. Done, ready to make it happen.
Had you ridden the bike?
I had not. I had not ridden any bike yet, so we were just waiting to get the Hondas. Like we were waiting and waiting and waiting. Like something's up, you know. So I booked my first trip to Paris, raced Bercy
on a Honda,
which I had never ridden before, and so went over and rode that bike. Didn't do great.
125.
250s. There was only 250s at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like it was gnarly. Like that Bercy's little track. With Bale and Stanton and all those guys, I'm like, man, I've ridden this bike in the parking lot. That's about it, you know. And
little breaker in.
So I came home, like I said, and we waited and we're waiting, and finally Dave Arnold called my dad and it's like, hey, something might be up that you didn't hear it from me, but you might want to put a call into Suzuki or somebody else because it just might not work out. And so.
Did you have a letter of intent or anything signed?
Total contract. It was done. Oh. Like I remember that, like the magazine Dealer News or something. Like they'd gotten word of it, and like they called me and wanted me to do a story on it. Like they wanted me to bash Honda or something, but or like sue them or something because I had a contract. I'm like, but you're like that's not how you want to start your way in the sport. Yeah. Like blackball like that. So Pat Alexander made room. I think they had signed Buell originally first. And so they kind of moved Buell, I think, to like a support ride, with Wyatt Seals, and we went racing.
And so how? That's pretty late in the season because Bercy's November.
Yep. So I don't even know. I remember they flew me out to do like a photo shoot or something, and my gear was like
Dorothy
red.
Cut was in.
Yeah, I think I decided to take that mullet off.
Got a bob and then headed to California.
In Honda gear, you know, to do a Suzuki photo shoot. Yeah. It's just so funny. Like you just don't know any better. You're just out there just winging it.
Okay, so what did you think of that bike first time you rode it? Because they were good. Those bikes, those Suzuki's were dope.
I came off, the DMCs, Cowies, those were pretty badass bikes.
Yeah.
I've been blessed with good bikes, just with my dad's attention to detail. And I don't know anything how to work on anything. I heard Daniel Blair talking about it on Race Day Live the other day. Like he'll change the filter, and like that's my extent. And so I never had, but by me being an idiot and him being around all the time, it was like a good team. Like my bikes were always like he knew how to set things up correctly, automatically. I just sit on the bike.
Me being an idiot and him being around, we were a good team.
We're an all-around good team.
We were.
Wait, what are you bringing to the table? Because it sounds like he's a good team.
You bring the haircut and the idiot part. And red gear to a Suzuki.
Red gear,
don't worry, Dad. I got the bob.
I've got the bob.
Yeah, the bob. We're good.
I feel like we got this championship. As long as I don't have to get near the bike and touch it and work on everything, let's just move along.
But the bike was good I remember that 90 Suzuki being really good.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I think we did a photo shoot was a stock one, but then, when the race bike, as you know, they were fast as hell.
Yeah, they were
pulling whole shots. I felt like I was almost equivalent to the Star bikes today, and Mitch's bikes earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good. They were factory bikes. That's what makes it so weird that their 250s were so bizarrely off.
That 90 250 wasn't bad. I didn't ride much of the 91, but I remember jumping on the 90 250 for a little bit of riding, and it was pretty good. But I didn't really know any different either.
Right.
So maybe you would know more because you rode it the next year. But the 125 was definitely. I remember, just like you said, by the sound of how our bike sounded when we showed up to Anaheim and Denny showing up to Houston for the first one, like we definitely had, a little something under the tank there.
Yeah, and they were one of the few of the 4 factories that actually had a factory 125 team.
Yeah, they put some effort into it, and it showed.
Yeah,
and they won a lot of titles for that window in the 90s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah,
in that 125 class.
I think when's the last time they've even won a 250 title, 125 title? Indoors. They went from crushing it to just kind of. Did he win a supercross? He won the outdoors.
He won a supercross
That's
title.
Probably
too.
it.
Jason Anderson.
Jessamine.
He won on 250. On 125 would probably be Jessamine in 2003.
Did he win the supercross?
But Suzuki, I know Anderson won a title in.
Yeah, he did.
On a KTM, though? Were they KTM?
I think it was a Rockstar Suzuki then. I think it was 13.
Well, we'd have to. We'll
14.
Do some
it had maybe 14.
Stat man.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you at? Where's the Googs?
Yeah.
We'll have to Google it later.
Yeah,
all right,
Google
so 90. You started the season at Houston, East-West again, which, God, that's...
Fro got me there, too. First,
took you out?
Triple, like he did the full whoop, and so I
cased
it. Craig landed on top of me, yard sailed.
You never seen that shot? Like they showed that thing forever.
Maybe I have.
Got an 18th, I think, right? Yeah.
Craig
was no, like he landed right on me, so I just went to the ground, and he, it's crazy how the top guy, he went yard sailing.
He get hurt bad?
Well,
was that his neck?
No, his neck was in. I think it was in Sweden when he broke his neck. Yeah, and
that story's gnarly. Did you hear his show?
Yeah,
anyway.
I did listen to a bit of it. Yeah.
So were you? An 18th at the opener is not
a good way to start.
And
I had a cut in my hand, so I had to get stitches and stuff. So I worried about the next week and stuff. And
well, I think it went back west after that.
Yeah, I think it might have a little bit of a break.
Yeah, you were February 3rd at that opener. You had till the 24th for your next round in Atlanta.
Yeah,
which you smoked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just one of those ones where you just feel good, and like at the start wasn't that great, but you just
came through
making your moves, and you're like, this is all pretty easy. And yeah, it was. And then I sat in the stands. Like I remember more of watching the 250 main than I actually do racing my race, because that race was
that was the gnarly,
so epic. Yeah.
Now after that race, is that when you realized I got some room to make up, but I think I can win some more races and get this championship? Was that going through your?
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, I've been here for 3 years. I've gone a fifth and a third. The guys who beat me last year are not in the class. There's absolutely no reason why I'm not going to win this thing.
So the progression was there. All you need to do was execute.
Just do it. Yeah. Just I already believed it. Like I had a different mentality. Like this is my moment now.
Yeah.
And it is. You know the difference how you ride. Even watching Anderson. After he's won, the second round, he goes into San Diego this last time, and you could just watch how he was riding practice. Like it's a different. You got a little pep in your step. You've done it, and we always talk about the mentality of it.
It's a mental.
Once you know you belong
switch.
and you've arrived, like it's just get it fucking done at that point.
So you had the mental switch of knowing your timing and where you're supposed to be, and you knew honestly one of the things that you probably got to is I can start fourth or fifth and still win.
Right.
Yep. And you only had to execute this amount of effort for this long and get to the front, and then you can kind of time and rhythm things out.
Like it got to the point like that year I'd crashed a couple times and came back from like first lap. 15th or 20th, I'm like,
yeah, you do that in Supercross.
Unless your bike blows up, you can podium. If you know that, like that helps your confidence a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you just like I remember one time I was Tampa, I think it was. I don't even know what I was thinking the first lap. I was just like, I just sent it and ate shit. Like it was such a weird move, and I'm like, well, here we go. We're gonna have to go through the pack and
think you're a little too overly confident. In the
totally,
first
I think,
lap?
yeah, exactly, yeah. It can go the other way, obviously, exactly. It can go completely the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my most was like I think was like we had 3 East-West that year, And the second one, I think,
With Dallas.
it was Cotton Bowl.
And you smoked everybody.
And, yeah, I just picked my way through the whole thing. It was crazy.
It had some big whoops, and
Yeah.
him and John Michelle were only ones skimming.
Yeah.
Just you and JMB. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, we're definitely
This-
we're definitely on the mantle of Hall of Fame together.
Yeah, I think if I remember, though, I think the happiest, obviously winning the championship was really, really good, and you were really happy. But after you won Daytona, I remember talking to you after Daytona, and you really were like,
My
on
mom
a
was
cloud
there.
winning that event.
It's I mean, Daytona. As a kid, as big a fan as I am of the sport, like that's the pinnacle of it. Like it's like Coliseum is pretty cool, but Daytona was just Daytona, and I have pictures with my mom and dad and I, and yeah, I'm just like it's like a genuine smile. It's like this was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And isn't it cool, like you were saying earlier, like the track you rode growing up led you to kind of prep you to feel comfortable at Daytona.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You know?
It was definitely just like, okay, I felt like I should have won it a couple years before, and to finally knock that off. And because every other round it's supercross, it's cool, but one is Daytona, and it'll always be Daytona.
Yeah, and I think that you were saying the way that after you won, Suzuki whisked you away out to do all this, other stuff.
No, that was
that not Daytona?
Atlanta. That was Atlanta, and the Cowie guys took me to this.
No. I think at Daytona though, Suzuki had a kind of big old thing out front.
I don't remember.
Maybe I'm wrong, but anyhow,
I think that, yeah.
I just remember you being really happy that you won Daytona.
Daytona's
it was
a big one.
big bucket list.
Yeah.
For
I think all of us that
that
race just know there's a little bit of extra prestige.
Old telephone,
that comes with that.
whoops, Johnny O launching that thing and winning it. It's not really the same anymore, obviously, because I think it's with it at night and they've changed the infield and stuff. But yeah, as a kid growing up, like that one had like a label on it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, obviously it did for you, and
Yeah,
that was
for
pretty
sure.
awesome that he won that because Ping got close, and I never got close. I did not ride good there.
Yeah.
This schedule, it continues to surprise me, right? So, okay, opening round Houston.
Yep.
And there might have been an Anaheim or something prior to this because
Yeah.
that was February. But we got some Supercrosses, Gatorback in March.
Yep.
All right, some Supercrosses, Daytona in April. Hangtown in April.
Yep.
Some more Supercrosses, Lake Sugartree in May.
Yep.
More Supercrosses, High Point in May, end of May.
Yep.
More Supercrosses.
Yeah.
Then you're back. We switched back and forth 4 times.
Yeah.
That is some bullshit.
Yeah. It was not.
I say we. I wasn't raised.
But you didn't know any
You didn't
different.
know any
You didn't know
different,
any. I mean, if that was the schedule, that was the schedule. Like, and the fact that I rode 125 and 250s in '90. My dad had to have both bikes in the truck.
Extra suspension, probably.
Yeah.
The whole deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember, Denny, but I don't remember going from your Supercross bike to your outdoor bike, that it being that big of a difference. Like today, I know that the guys, when they get off their Supercross bike, it takes them a little bit to get used to their outdoor bike, just how soft the suspension and how it reacts and stuff like that. But obviously the tracks are different, setups are different, but I don't remember going, oh, dang, I'm on my Supercross bike, I got to adjust this, or I'm on my outdoor bike, I got to do this.
Well,
I just remember
just watching bikes from that era, way softer.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
chassis flex, suspension, everything, way softer.
For sure.
Where you watch guys now, and it's like it barely moves.
Well, we jumped like this then, too.
Yeah, it
So
did.
You always landed with kind of a slap, so...
You had 8 wins that season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the record.
Eight of
he had the
11.
record for
Told Ricky, yeah. I didn't know I didn't know it was even a record at the time. And somebody was like, yeah, Carmichael was going to break Stevenson's win record in the season. I'm like, I've had a record? I would have got me laid way more. I'm going to put that on a shirt or something.
Which, of course, is always
time.
the goal.
Yeah, I had 11 rounds. Like in the West had like 6 or something,
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
They weren't worried about
So your national
evening it out.
results are a little spotty, a little up and down.
Well, his national results, obviously, remember he had the crash with Jeff in 90.
that's right.
Broke his navicular.
90, yeah, riding
you suffered all
Decided to voodoo ranger it, try to get back for LA, breaks it all the way.
for like 18
And then
months.
tries to get back ready for outdoors. So
90, yeah.
you pretty much rode the whole summer.
I rode like in a
banged up.
rubber cast, like that was the doctor had made or something. And yeah, after like 15, 20 minutes, I had no strength or anything. That I'd come in, I couldn't even squeeze a pop can.
Did you get other, second opinions on that? Could they, I know now they're removing it sometimes.
Yeah, no,
and-
there's a lot of
it's
stuff
just.
going
I
on.
remember Hannah had told me.
I got
told
a
my
pin in
dad like
mine. It's-
after when I did it at Oklahoma City, like just no, like. But Suki wanted me to ride LA because they debuted this new bike, the new color. Remember that color splotch stuff?
Yeah.
And so there was just really no sound of reason. Like there wasn't someone to go, hey, my dad just wanted, let's keep racing, keep pushing. And I probably didn't, explain that, like, hey, this is not really going well. Like, I don't feel like
look at my claw.
I don't feel the same rider as I did, but you just, again, you just back then you just dusted you off and put you back on the bike, you know.
Yeah.
And
which you still had a couple moments like I highlighted earlier, which was Axton, Sugar Tree.
Yeah, there's good moments. Yeah, but
Washougal.
It's like but pain.
But I didn't realize your hand was going numb like that. I just thought Denny was getting a little faded.
You would just when
he probably was.
When you know that you could, like, something's going to hurt you try almost to try and make everything perfect. Like, oh God, if I case this thing, like, this thing's going to hurt. So then that just throws you completely out of your rhythm.
For nationals, you can't.
You gotta. Yeah, nationals, man, they're gnarly.
You could be smooth in supercross, and if you didn't make any mistakes, it wouldn't be so bad. But nationals just
jarring.
You hit a hole. Yeah. And I liked outdoors. That's what we grew up doing. It's the supercross at that time was not as obviously it's not as
polished,
specialized. Now it is so much different. But the outdoors is like, I really liked the outdoors. My first national, my dad, it was a mutter at San Antonio. And my dad, again, it's such attention to detail. He noticed how everybody's pushing the bikes down the start straight on the outside line. It's all packed. He's like, hey, what do you think about starting out there?
Yeah.
Like, okay. And just hole shotted, like, I'm first national, man. I'm out front, And I think I got a fifth or something. And it was down in San Antonio. It was like 110 degrees. And I'm dying in the pits, and I hear the horn like for the second moto. And I'm like,
no.
This is going to be a long one. Yeah. And I went 5:16 that weekend or something. But at that time, I swear those guys paced themselves, the established guys, because that's when, myself and Larocco and you and Kudrowski and Chicken and Larry Ward just like kind of took over the sport at that time. Because I think the mentality of racing was different or something. I don't know, because it was crazy how.
I don't remember any pace.
No, I don't think we ever did. I think they did. And then
I
when
agree.
they came in, it's like, okay, these kids are just going to run wide freaking open for as long as they can, and not. We're not. Yeah, like I think they would wait. Like, okay, we're going to bide our time, and then we're going to lay the hammer down. And Larry Ward was crushing it right this first year off, out of amateur and stuff. Like, you just don't see that right now. And I don't like. I expect honestly more from Levi Kitchen than those first couple nationals and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but just hard to compare the two eras.
Totally
is so weird and different, but
it's just it's inevitable. You're always going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody will argue about it. And
So at the end of 90, your wrist is a wreck. Did you do anything? You just take any time off? Did you put it in a cast and let it actually try to heal?
Kept riding, kept racing. I think I went to Europe off season. It's like, man,
we were in Paris eating duck.
Yeah, damn, that was good duck. Looking at the Louvre.
And the duck didn't heal it up, huh?
No.
The duck oil?
But then at the end of 91.
The liver. Maybe duck liver would have.
At the end of 91 is when I finally was like, man, I got to get this thing fixed.
So 91, you pointed out you had to move up.
Yeah, I had to move up.
What was the deal? Factory Suzuki?
Yep, yeah.
So you had a 2-year deal.
Had a 2-year deal. So that was like my whole mentality too. I was like, I don't want to take this time off. I would feel like that would have put it was as it turned out it was the wrong thinking, obviously. But I felt like by missing that much time would have put me further behind the 8-ball. And when I was ready to ride the 250 class, I wouldn't be prepared. Like I needed to keep racing, and plus, getting a factory ride at that, like I was like I want to make the best of this. I don't want to sit on the sideline for 6 months. I want to race and ride and be there every week.
You didn't realize
you needed that voice of reason, like you said. You needed somebody to go, hey, look, let's take the nationals off and go get this fixed.
Yeah, like you're jeopardizing the future of your career.
It's almost like you said, what was his name, Tice, that helped you and taught you about slowing down to go faster.
Yep.
You almost needed that advice. Slow down my body, let my body heal, and then I'll be the best Denny I can be when I go out and ride.
Yeah, and I never did.
So when we talked about riding coaches and trainers, like the Johnny O's and the whoever, that's the kind of shit
that's
where they're a big help.
Yeah, and I think that's great that these guys do take, like, nobody's rushing back too soon. Like, go get healthy, because if you don't, you're just chasing your tail the entire time.
Because of how fast you were in 90, if you would have gotten on the 250 and rode like yourself and being healthy, you would have been battling up front. There's no doubt in my mind with how good you were in the whoops, how your timing was, how you rolled the turns. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. But you being that injured, your true self never came
back out.
And then, obviously, I think you even struggled riding during the week a little bit.
It sounds like a really bad excuse, but that's just how looking back, I could see it just I was never felt like that again.
Yeah, no, you never had that feeling. That's what I'm saying. So you
yeah.
never got that feeling, that confidence. But we make the decisions we make.
For sure. Yeah, there's no regret. I don't regret. I regret more of the. I shouldn't have crashed. That made that mistake. Because that did change things. But I mean, come on. This is the chance of a lifetime to ride these dirt bikes and have fun, and you can't ever look back with regret.
How was that 91 RM250?
It was a weird bike. Like it was fast, but it didn't handle well at all. I didn't think. Like I could not get comfortable in it. I would show up and I'm like, Dad would mess some clickers and stuff, and I would get decent starts on it, but it had like weird power surges and stuff, almost like it would, like sometimes I knew how it would react off a triple, and then sometimes it all of a sudden I'd be launched off this thing, and it was it was a weird time on that bike. Was never very happy with it. I think that's probably why I didn't ride the outdoors on it, because it was just a very. And like you said, we did so much testing on 125.
Yeah, there wasn't much
the
testing.
250, we tested at Adelano and the sand, and they gave us a couple pipes and said, okay, we'll see you at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, it was a different time. The year, like I said, in 90 we tested a lot. Going into 91, I remember 2 or 3 test sessions, not very many.
Yeah.
And obviously, probably could have helped you transitioning to the 250 with more time, more testing, more things available to try to get comfortable and find the package for you.
And testing, I probably wasn't a good tester either. Like, you know what testing is like. After 3 hours, they want to know what this. And like, I completely lost track.
Well,
at this
obviously,
point,
Don's the guy, and you probably came in, Don. Do I like it?
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think? Don't make this a trick question, Dad.
No, I guarantee you know what you liked.
Yeah,
you maybe didn't always I didn't know how to interpret it.
Yeah, how do you make it the way you want it to work? I think and it probably wasn't good enough on that 250 to kind of to explain that. Yeah.
Well, there's more things that got to go into the 250 than the 125. There's different power band, different way it distributes, and so finding that package for you.
Like I've read Bullerman's article on Pulp a few times where he talks about the bike and stuff, and he's interpreting and discussing and explaining things that I'd never even considered racing. And I'm like, I didn't realize there were that many options. I didn't realize you had to feel that comfortable. I thought it was just like, go faster, dummy. You know.
Yeah.
And now it's again specialized, but at the time I didn't realize probably how to make it as comfortable as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those changes when you get comfortable, you can go as fast or faster at way more relaxed.
Yeah,
everything just feels like easy.
I think Reedy's even talked about he would change something like a millimeter or something, and he's like, okay, now I know. Well, how do you? It's a fucking millimeter. You move the clamps or something.
Yeah.
But when you know how to get it, but you know when it's right, but it's hard to get there.
Yeah. Well, when it's right. But
it's such a learned skill, though, testing. Like, I still, when we go test new bikes or I do project bikes, I'm constantly trying to learn, and I'm still learning. A lot of times I'll be like, it's too firm. It's too stiff. We need to soften it. And it's too soft already, and I'm down into the stiff part of the valve.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But being able to figure out, am I too far down, or do I actually, even though I feel like I want it softer, I need to stiffen it?
Yeah.
And until you kind of make those mistakes and have someone explain it to you.
Yeah. But to interpret to someone else, as well. Like the biggest thing was advantage. Like I said, my dad you can see things almost easier than you can feel it.
Yeah.
And you could see how the bike rode. He'd come in and do a couple clicks and then send me out. He didn't tell me he did it or something. Like, how does that feel? It's like, oh yeah, it reacted better to the whoops and braking bumps and stuff.
Still a little limited to what Don could see on the floor there too.
Sure.
To be able to adjust. So more testing time would have allowed Don to watch things at a different environment, on a test track if everybody's there to do some
again
work
different different eras. I mean, it was just a mechanic and a box fan on the way. Like,
True.
Now there's there's so many aspects to a team. I mean, it's badass. It's cool, but it's a huge effort today, obviously. Yeah.
It's a way different effort, but you're still reliable on the resources that the team brings you.
Sure. Yeah.
So no matter what the generation is, it's what is the resource that this team has and availability to try this or that. And I've watched people run in circles too, like get so far out to left field that how do you even wrangle it back in?
Yeah.
But there are the really good guys and the good testers that kind of can get in that direction and find it. But it's a process of learning. It's also knowing what you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I think if I was racing today and I was a little bit lost on setting and what I wanted, I'd hire a guy like Tedesco to come out and ride my bike.
Yeah.
Hey, give me some feedback on this because I'm kind of lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more people don't do that.
The best bike I rode was Froze 96 factory
KX 250.
Cowie 250. we went out. He was riding to the Nations or something, and I was staying at the house, and he had to go demo the 500 practice on it. And he's like, "Come on, man, you can ride my 250." Man, within like 2.5 laps, like I feel like I'm going faster than I've ever gone on a motorcycle. Like I remember at Paris, you jumped up in this corner, and I saw these bumps, and I was ready to react to them, and it was just like, and the way he always talks about, the throttle being connected to the rear wheel, like it was just the most deliverable instant power.
Electric too, right?
Yeah,
like it never yanked out of your arms.
Yeah.
I rode Rhinos that year.
Yeah, it was
same
gnarly.
year, same bike.
Like I'm like, no wonder you're so fast. Like this thing is badass. I mean, obviously you earned to get that, but the difference from that bike to something else I had ever rode at the time was shocking.
Yeah,
yeah.
I did throw my leg over that bike for a couple laps doing 96, and I was pretty blown away where mine was at and where that was at. But like Denny said, he earned to get to that, and he probably, I know Jeff a little bit was a big developer on how that power delivered in a start line in a straight. And that's where he tried to execute a little bit, and then obviously it translated into getting out of turns and get down the straights how he wanted. And the suspension was pretty amazing.
Well, and that's the shit I talked about. Like having ridden that, I knew like, okay, I can't compete as a pro.
No, if I would have rode that any other time in my career, I would have been like, I'm done already. Like no way I can be. I want that bike.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight that guy.
I knew the only way I was ever gonna have a chance in the 250 class was on a factory bike.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care how hard Mitch tries or any of these guys. Without that suspension,
so true. Back in the day,
you're just not
sure.
you're not gonna get.
And that's why he expects so much, from his riders, because he knows, like, I've just worked, 100 hours this week to make sure you have the best bike, so don't suck.
Don't suck.
All right, so lots of top 10s that first year in 91 in the 250 class, and you got your first podium outdoors, Hangtown. 91.
It was the Mutter.
That was the Mutter?
The Mutter, yeah.
You were in that too, yeah?
Yeah, you got second.
We actually trumped that mud race. Yeah.
Hey,
it was so gnarly.
That's gnarly.
It was not a
I think
mutter.
we talked about it in your show. I remember watching on TV and seeing a hay bale float down one of the a creek.
The worst thing of that was seeing Joe Albrecht face down with his bike on top of him in one of those big, rivers coming through. Like they barely got that thing off of him.
His feet kicking.
Pretty much.
It was so gnarly. I remember the beginning. A lot of it too. Our bikes survived.
Well, our bikes survived. Berluti and Don were really, really on top of what to do.
Dad knew that. No, don't seal it up. Let it vent. Like let the water drain, because you're not going to keep water out. Like water will find a way into that
how
motor.
much water was there?
And I think Talon was on a Suzuki, I think, or
yep.
something.
No. Yes, that was 91. Yes.
Yeah. So I think Talon's mechanic went a different direction, and obviously it ended up blowing up. But I remember I didn't wear plastic or any like a suit. I was gonna wear maybe a rain jacket or something, and it was so cold, and we were so wet, like it was, and just like in that one section where the water, your front wheels are hydroplaning, and then they said the 2D class, which was after us, the back section, where you jump up and then jump down.
Yeah,
I think something broke back, like a dam broke or something, and it was just a raging river. Like you said, like if you would have fell in it, you would have been just carried away.
You're just gone, yeah. Like my jet skiing paid off the jet skiing I did of knowing that hydroplane.
Yeah, I mean, when you plowed into it, and it would just cover you, and then your front end would float, then it would sink, then it would float. Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah.
That's the only time they've ever canceled motos, right?
One moto. One moto.
Remember.
And you weren't dirty. You weren't, because you're just wet and.
I couldn't see anything for 3 days afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, eyes all boogered up.
Yeah, the goggle exchange wasn't a
Wasn't
thing back
there.
then.
Yeah, no.
But that is pretty crafty. You watch them do goggle exchanges now, and they end up making up some time after getting a fresh set on. But
well, it's a safety thing too, man.
My eyes were boogered.
Yeah.
You should have seen Swaps. I remember Swap coming over to get my dad to clean his eyes out. And
it's dirt.
Oh, he was even more of a mess than us. Because we were up front. He was probably taking more respect there.
Yeah. Damn you, Swamp.
Our buddy Swap. We should give a shout out to old Chad Pedersen.
Yeah,
It's
what's
our
up,
guy,
Swappy?
the original Swap.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean the rest of the season, you hit all the rounds. You were at all of them.
Yeah.
Some top fives. That was at Lake Sugar Tree you're talking about, where he was killing.
No, 90 was the one at Lake
Oh, you're
Sugar
thinking of
Tree.
90?
But
Well,
he killed it in 91
Yeah,
too.
fifth again there.
Yeah, he liked
What-
that spot.
What else?
I did, yeah. It's,
What else stands out from that year for you?
91?
Yeah.
Honestly, don't, no highlights, really, off the top of my head.
Podium.
I knew that,
National podium.
well, it was one moto, it was a mutter,
Hey, You got a podium at a national.
Well, I didn't get to pop the bubbly. I'm like, let's fucking get up on some
it.
podium here. Let's get this shit done. They're like,
podium floated away. Yeah.
we only give you half your bonus too. It was only one race. Yeah. And there's with Mutter, we're putting asterisks.
That wouldn't surprise me. All right. So what about 92?
And then Suzuki, I wasn't getting quite the same support at that time from them, but they, I was still getting good equipment. I don't think I was getting a salary that year. I don't know what the results show. I would have came in. I had surgery. Oh yeah, so I had surgery. At the end of '91, and I was in a cast, for forever. And I switched. I think from in '91 to '92, I switched to Fox gear. And he sent me a box of stuff, and I was wearing it around the house. I was like the Prince, all the crazy stuff. So I want to ride. So I went down. I would rode with my cast. I had a cast up to my arm, and I would just moto. And then I talked to my doctor. He's like, no, the vibration will help stimulate the growth. You're in a full cast. You can't break the thing. So I would take a handlebar in, and they would mold the cast around the handlebars. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try and race. I'm going to race. I was like, I felt great on the bike, considering I'm like literally wearing a cast. So I decided I wanted to race Gainesville and Daytona, just go down there for the weeks and see how things feel. And the cast was all, how casts get, your arm shrinks and stuff. Well, for some idiot reason, I decided to get a new cast before I left.
Oh, arm pump.
Arm pump, dude. Like now this thing's tight, and my skinny little arm's in the thing. And I qualified for Daytona, but within a couple laps, my arm went numb. And then Gainesville was pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
So the cast is what did it on the...
What an idiot. Like, I guess it stunk so bad to be honest at that point. Yeah.
So did that fix the wrist or no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't motion's limited, but it was nothing like Ricky or something.
But no pain? Like once the cast came off, were you good?
It just was skinny. Obviously, being in a cast for 6 months, you're like, my arm's still smaller than my other arm. And then I broke it like twice. So it's just always been a real weird arm,
What'd they end up doing?
Like a baby's arm.
Pinning it or taking it out? Or
what, the navicular?
Yeah.
They took bone off my hip and laid it in there. Like they carved a little, a path or a trough and put bone graft in there. And
does that hurt? I've heard the bone graft on your hip hurts.
My hip hurt. Yeah, my hip hurt
than
worse than the wrist. Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? And I have a scar there. And they're like, yeah, we just grounded on your hip bone and bladed in there. I'm like, man, that's good modern medicine these days.
Yeah.
And that was before pinning it. I think Rhino pinned his, I think. And then
I got a little, that's what this guy is.
Yeah.
Little screw.
That's cute.
But no issues. Like,
that's good.
Once they fixed it, I never know nothing.
Yeah.
No problem.
I think just, putting something in the cast for that long, it just atrophies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful when you pull your arm out and it's all shriveled up, black hair. The hair gets all dark.
And your skin's like just flaky. Yeah, and it still stinks. Like
so
it's like
gross.
Yeah.
I used to go jump in the river at my mom's house in Montana, the Missouri River. So then you got all this disgusting, whatever the hell's in that water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it would dry out and
little bass poop.
A cow goes floating by.
Bad smells. So the results this year, 7th at San Jose.
It started a path of just like stupid injuries here and there, dumb shit.
6th at Troy.
I was like that one because it was a good track. If you had a good start, you could get out front and kind of separate yourself. And plus, it was a little supercrossy.
Yeah.
Like pinning it,
you had to roll everything. You had to be precise and nail Troy.
And I don't remember what year it was. I was doing well and Ferry crashed. I think it was Timmy, and it was back in the big rollers, the big doubles, and I crashed into him, got up real quick, and lasted all the way till the tunnel jump, and the bike just stopped. And I couldn't figure out what's going on. Well, when I'd hit him, it ripped the gas line off the tank.
Oh, geez.
And so I basically ran out of gas, I guess, or and I didn't know what it was. I'm like, why won't these things run?
Well, that '92 ride at Troy is really good because that was a big mudder that year too.
Was it the mud one?
That one was.
That was another one. It was really humid, and that dirt would be so sticky.
Sticky.
Like it was like baby shit. Like you'd put if you started to lean over in the corner, and you put your foot down, it would just suck you off the bike. Like you weren't getting your foot out of that mud.
No.
Yeah,
suction.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That place in the mud was not fun, and then when it wasn't muddy, it was hotter than.
It was really hot. Yeah,
really hot.
I think that was the one year we were at Troy. Like I said, you and I were sitting next. I think we were parked next to each other. You were
in '94
with Randy. Yeah. And we were both like, man, it is miserable.
How'd you like Troy? You should have done all right at Troy.
I did. And
it was hot. That's a good one for you, Pink.
I got a 5th there in '94,
dude.
And then
like it was a good, like I said again, if you got a good start, it separated so fast because the little tight sections that.
Yeah, I think I had a couple good rides there. I don't think I ever. Anyway, I liked it too because it was supercrossy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Terrible place to spectate though.
Yeah, it was weird spectating. I remember trying to go look at the track.
It's just flat. I couldn't see nothing.
Trees.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of spectators.
Shadowy too. I remember a lot of shadows.
Yeah, that's when I was testing the electronic roll-offs for Bevo and Scott, and the light thing, and that one we went into the shadows, and your roll-offs would start going. Like, did I touch that?
All right, so you get through '92. Anything changed for '93?
Nope.
Same kind of setup.
Yeah, still doing Suzuki's. Wasn't a factory totally, but tons of parts, tons of support.
Program,
very. Pat Alexander always treated us very well. Yeah, he was a good man, and he would load you up whatever you needed. But yeah, just kind of it's just boom in '93 up to '93, '94. I think I broke my wrist again in '94.
Oh, you did?
At a local race. I went just like a money race off weekend. I ate shit, broke my arm. It was like it was COG, drove me to the airport, or not airport, but hospital. Yeah, just, again, just once you start doing doing dumb, and not dumb things, but when it just starts snowballing.
Injuries can breed injuries.
Yeah,
sometimes.
totally. Yes. Yeah. But it was a good, fun year. I don't remember really much results. I've looked at the vault sometimes too, and I'm like, you look at the races like, there's a big gap here, there's a big gap there. So you're.
And 94, which is fun fact, it was the year that we were in Minneapolis, and we went out and went to the after party and saw Prince there.
Oh, was that 94?
Yeah.
Prince. It sounds like a Dave Chappelle skit. Well, did he make you pancakes?
It almost felt like we're actually at a club.
Okay. First Ave, his bar he owns.
And then afterwards there was another top party that.
Yeah, my buddy Bill knew the door guy, and the guy's like, "Hey man, there's a big after party here's, hand us whatever, follow the crowd at the end." And so we're like, okay, so we go up this, follow these guys up these stairs, and we're in a line, everybody's bullshit and stuff, and all of a sudden you come around the corner and there's Prince sitting in his throne in a canary yellow suit. Wait, like, come on in, thanks for coming. And we walk in and do it. They have like
it was weird.
Yeah, chicks were go-go dancing in bird cages.
Yeah.
And then he had like a buffet of meatballs and stuff. It was like,
we'll take some meatballs.
Yeah, it was just, it was a weird vibe,
It was weird.
for one seeing Prince, and then he's like, oh, come on in. But then it was like, it didn't feel like that cool of a room. It was almost like, like a meeting room at a hotel. It had like
a hojo?
Little shitty carpet and stuff. And I guess like girls are up, like they tried to make the most of it and then had meatballs in the buffet. Yeah.
So he's got a plate of meatballs in his canary yellow suit.
Yeah. I'm like, it looked like.
Did you guys talk to him, or did he do it?
No, we just walked. He just was welcoming everybody in. Yeah.
And then what? What did he do all night? Just sit on his throne?
I think so. I don't know. I mean, we kind of probably went over to the meatballs, had some meatballs.
Yeah.
Hey,
look at this ridiculous asshole. He's got meatballs.
Princess has meatballs. You're gonna try them out. Yeah. It felt like almost like the skit that they did on Chappelle. Blouses bursting. Yeah.
But it was a moment. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the duck that we had but it was a Prince moment.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good memory.
No, it was a good memory.
Yeah. Have the meatballs, kids.
All right. So 94, this is where I meet you, really, because I was Suzuki Sport first year racing some nationals.
You guys parked next to each other.
Yeah, well, we parked together all year. Supercross.
Because you guys are on the same kind of support.
I think Randy tried poisoning me with the generator one time. I was sitting there, and it was some reason it was
in
like
your box van, the one you bought from me.
Oh yeah. That thing was rad.
It was pumping just like carbon monoxide.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "I was getting a little lightheaded. I was getting high off the carbon monoxide." Like, then he's like yelled at Randy, like, "Dude, fucking, move that thing. Get out of the fucking truck. You're trying to kill the pits." Damn it, Randy.
Damn it, Randy. I blame Randy.
Yeah.
So your nationals were good this year. You had some 9, 6, 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like we were talking another time. Like you just know your place. I'll start 15th, get a 9th, start 10th, second, get a 7th.
That's impressive. They're getting the top 10 at Broome. That was always a tough track.
Broome's tough. Was tough.
Unless you had a 175 and your name was Brandy's. Yeah, that bike would just float up the hills. Like, man, that bike's fast. It was like either his or Craig. Oh, no, I think it was Craig's. Because remember that they were paying bonuses for pulling hole shots. So Craig would just get the hole shot, get the bonus, which is probably more than running 10th or something, and then fade back far enough that he wouldn't get protested or like bike torn down.
In 95, was it on YOT then?
Yeah, 95
or
was YOT.
HOT?
Or Honda.
Yeah.
94, I don't know what he was on.
Remember.
94, he rode Yamaha for a little bit there.
Factory.
Factory.
Or was it? Yeah.
Yeah, he won
Was that the year he
Tampa.
tripped over the boot?
That's what the boot story, so they say.
He didn't trip over it.
No, wait, of course
So they
he
say.
didn't.
I mean, the jury's still out.
He cleared that all up.
It made for good stories.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I'd have to
In
listen
the
to that
show.
one, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He's a character.
He's a character.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
cleared that up, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about going into 95? Still Suzuki.
Dill Suzuki.
I thought we were into 95. We're going back to 94? Then
94 was
95?
the year he and I, like, we parked together the whole year. I got to know you and your
So you got
95, I rode for FNS Suzuki, and he was giving
Out
us
of
bikes
Ohio, right?
out of Ohio, yeah. Which was, I don't know how that happened, but it was good. And
I feel
then
like you were hurt because you didn't race till.
I think that's your, I broke my wrist. I think that was 95, I think.
At a local with Cog?
Yep, with Cog.
Cog, yeah.
And at the end of 95, I was kind of like, I'm kind of over this shit. I'm kind of over it. I talked about maybe doing arena cross.
And when did you go to arena cross?
97. 96.
That's when we both went.
The fall of 96 or fall, winter of 96, and it led into 97 season.
Okay.
At the end of 95, I was staying out of Froze, and I talked to Snips from Arnett. I was trying to get a job, but, I'm like over it. And then Dave Castillo called and said that you guys were trying to put something together.
For 96, yeah.
Don't do anything yet. And so then he calls me back and goes, hey, my dad just bought you a bike, and I got you a flight to California. Get your ass out here. And so then we stayed up there at the farm.
Yeah, we stayed at the ranch for a little bit.
Bought some motos, and we built the trailer for the Great Western team in 96.
Yeah.
And which was just, that's just was what a team that was.
That was a team. That was a great season. The fact that we were up at Castillo's, had a supercross track, we were able to
the hills,
ride.
we rode in the hills, and
Did it all.
it was like awesome.
Denny
riding
and
up there.
Dave started a grunge band at night.
Yeah, the band.
Pretty much the band was screaming.
Yeah.
I would go to the gym. They would go to the guitar and
You did have
speaker.
a gym there. You told me it had a gym. I didn't see it.
I think he brought me a water a couple times.
So
I didn't see it.
So you guys weren't training together. Like, was there a whole team training vibe? Like, would you go on runs together or motos together?
No, Denny at that point.
At that point,
when Denny did his thing. He rode the bike, and that was it. I think
there wasn't a lot. Like I helped build the trailer. We built the trailer, got the thing all ready. Dad, I think they picked us up in the jet. That's when we had the jet. Like Jim Castillo's jet.
Yep.
And I remember when we wouldn't let you pee.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Because you sat on the one of the chairs you flipped up was where you had to pee.
But we couldn't use it. I don't know why. Jim
One of the
just said
seats in the plane was a toilet?
Yeah, but and it had a little. You could curve it off.
You could use it. We just weren't going to get up. It's kind of like
I don't know. There was
and
a
you're
couple
like,
different-
dude,
they just messed with
I got to
you, dude.
pee. Yeah, we did really mess with Bud a lot.
I mean,
but that was a great.
It was the worst feeling in my life.
It's like, dude, I could die for this.
Yeah, that's bladder
I could
cancer.
have permanent damage.
I've heard it can make it very difficult to get an erection if you
ED?
hold your pee.
Dude, I held my pee a lot that year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we would never. Well, the few times we took the jet.
Good thing Bailey was born in '95.
Yeah.
Still works.
But that was, they built the bikes out of a rental car, in the pits, and then, Phil went out and got a fourth, I think, that first round or something like
Second.
that. Yeah.
Oh.
Basically, it was a production Kawasaki with like a pipe on it and Ross's suspension.
Well, back up exactly. Just said Ross. So Ross came up to Castillo's, tested with us. Like
That was some of the best suspension I ever
really
had.
good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still production based, but Ross's twist on it, looking at us ride, adjusting it, like.
Yeah.
And for me, in particular, I hadn't had that in years, and obviously you didn't have that much on the 250.
No, Ross was good.
Time,
that was some of the best suspension. I felt really comfortable on that bike, and then we started running out of money. The Great Western never paid the team, and so Jim stopped, flying the jet, and I stayed on the road for a while, with Grayson Goodman, kind of just driving the races. Like I wasn't gonna do. That's when. That's why I don't like Glen Helen so much.
Yeah. I think that was your last national.
That was my
right?
last national. It was 130 degrees out. We're starting to pay for expenses, and I just pulled off and said, you know what, I've had enough. That was my last national.
I don't even see you on the results. I don't see Glenn Helen.
He might have just rode practice.
I rode Gainesville. I fell off like the first mile.
Where's Gainesville, 96?
We got Hangtown, I see, but.
Oh, yeah.
So you rode.
I rode Gainesville and Hangtown, and that was it. Then the third round was Glen Helen, and I'm like, this is just terrible.
Yeah, 23rd at Hangtown, that's not too great for you.
Nope. And so then I went to a couple races, and that's, Bud was crushing it. I think Mitch, he started riding Pashon's bike for Mitch, or his motor.
Well, yeah, that happened after Troy, but the thing of it is, like, to back it up, and like us being all together, Denny being on the team, Phil being on the team, Phil doing well, Davey making his one, pretty much his main that year. Yep. He was super pumped, and we just had this synergy. And then, like, I think I've heard, some people say, like Rhino and Jeff. I think when Jeff did co-host the show with me, like everyone was over at our pits in between. Yeah. The night show, practicing the night show. And
the first round, I think, one of the first rounds was Houston, and we had the loudest stereo system in the thing. We had the thing cranked. There was tons of fans, and we gave away all of our shit, basically. We're like, we don't have nothing for next week. We've not got no gear. We've already thrown out all the plastic. And the next week was like, man, we might have overdone that. We might want to not do that.
Our gear was extreme, too, so it was extremely, great.
Mm-hmm.
But, just all of it. And then, when Denny decided to, not ride the Nationals, I think he showed up at the last race, to support me because I was trying to get fourth in the series, and never
Fro won the title that year. Yeah,
Fro won the title, and then Denny's running around, skinny Denny in a wife beater, showing me his muscles almost like the last,
the
whole race.
Who were you? You're battling Craig.
Yeah.
It was
Mike Craig.
It was just a good vibe. I mean,
what's your favorite story from that year?
From '96.
Did you guys have any river trips or?
There were always somewhere involved.
There was always a river trip somewhere in there.
What about Fro's championship party in Vegas? It had to be something good.
Denny was out on that. I don't think that I went out on that because obviously, me and Shelley went out every once in a while, but sometimes we had Bailey and didn't have a sitter. So, sometimes we
What year was Fro's Supercross? 97?
97.
Or were you kind of out of it by then? Like you weren't even going?
No, I was.
No, he was there.
I think, because I don't remember. I really don't. I remember when was the picture in the hot tub with
that was 97.
Girls? Was that 97?
Yeah.
Well, we were there, so I mean.
Yeah, let's say your wife was in the hot tub with him.
I was
so.
somewhere around.
Yeah. In '96,
although it was the '90s, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think too, Denny, from you doing all the years you did, injuries and having the success that you had.
Thanks.
And then
sexy.
Sexy.
Right back at you.
Just as sexy with that pinky. And then, then translating over to, like you say, like you became a fan to supporting me, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. I took as much, enjoyment in your guys' success, especially, obviously with you and with Fro, I felt like us battling as kids and stuff, I felt like a little part of that. Like, hey, man, like I'm stoked for you. Like I remember us freezing our ass off. Like it was 25 degrees or something in some middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Yeah.
And my dad always told us, Dan Fro, like they packed our start like all the way down the start. Like they kept looking at each other and going farther. And 2 feet out, we both totally didn't take it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that I remember that day as well that I learned with Fro. He got the whole shots. Usually we'd split moto wins, like 3-3. One would win 2, one would win 1, stock mod 105. But I quit that day. Like I was just tired of eating his roost, man. I just sat in that rear wheel. I was cold, and I remember just getting the worst lecture of my life. Like you don't ever quit. What if you made a mistake or something? And it was something that just stuck with me all the time.
Yeah.
And you see when people, especially riders, when riders give into the burn and that shit, I think that's when Stewart's kind of career started changing. It changes their mentality. You can't come back from that.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially if you've had a little bit of success. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And you fight it a little bit too much, but
like outdoors, the pain of outdoors. I mean, we did something with Brayton at a show one time, and he talked about he was coming home after a national or something, and he was like after the race, he like actually had a tear. He's like, man, this is like, do I really want to do this? Like, this is like gnarly. Like I'm exhausted. I just got this shit kicked out of me. Is this something I really want to do? And he's like, it just made me stronger. Yeah, but I said I never quit, and he's obviously had a huge career.
Yeah. couple more things about that 96 season. Minneapolis was so cold that year. I think it was like, 25 below.
It was a cold one.
And Denny, being from Omaha, we come out. I think we ate at Denny's or something. He's like, comes out with a cup of hot water. He's like, watch this. Throws a thing up in the hot water in the air, and it crystallizes before it hits the ground. And me being a California guy, I'm like, oh, that was rad. How do you know to do that?
Coolest thing you'd ever
Coolest
seen.
thing ever.
High school education, man.
And then when we,
Buddy, come here, lick this pole.
you got any duck over there?
Little duck grease, get that right off.
Yeah, Bud Man would show up at like the coldest arena crosses in shorts and a flip flops, and I'm like, did you not know you're flying into Massachusetts and it's snowing?
Yeah.
Like, did you bring anything? I got
Toothbrush and underwear.
I got a Ziploc bag, a toothbrush and underwear. Did you bring me a coat?
Yeah, Denny got me. And then when we were flying around on Jim's jet, we stopped to get fuel a few times, and then the people that were we were getting fuel, they thought that we were like what was the hot back then, Kid Band or something like that.
Like NSYNC or something,
That's who
like,
they thought.
yeah, who are these guys? They look like kind of could be a big deal. So we're like, yeah, we are a big deal.
Did you ever play that up?
Well, no, because it's just the guys fueling the plane.
They're really not. We're not getting out of it.
Hey, man, maybe I
But
am
that's
in a
when,
band.
like,
Give me some
that's
extra
when,
fuel.
like, that's
You
when
have a daughter?
Krusty was getting bigger, obviously, and I think that might have been Krusty 2 or 3 when we wore the pimp suits and stuff, and we went to Vegas. We took the jet, and then we took the helicopter out and all that stuff, and that would have been 96 with all of us. I remember we all come out of the camper with our gear on and stuff like that, and then went and crushed the dunes. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of fun vibe in 96, and everybody was feeding off it, too. Like, the fans dug it. It was kind of – I don't know if Moto XXX was probably around about that same time, but –
It would have come out
Just
in 96.
coming, yeah.
Because I shot with them in 95.
Yeah. So it was just a really cool thing that we could, in theory, it's not probably as cool as we think, because obviously we didn't get paid. The bank never paid anything, but as far as we're concerned, it was cool, and it was a good vibe, and it gets a lot of good press from it,
Yeah.
Well, it was just super unique. It would probably never be anything.
No, and it was
like that.
to be honest with you, it was a successful season because
it was. They put it
second.
results, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You can pay for a jet and look whatever way you want, but
You
to
still
do
gotta get
that and then
results.
also go be
Yeah.
second at the opener in the premier
Yeah.
class and third. Did you get third overall or fourth?
I got fourth overall outdoors. But
That was your Phil
me
almost
and Phil-
won St. Louis,
me
battle
and
with
Phil
Fro.
had a couple podiums outdoors that year.
Yeah.
So
You guys crushed it.
It had to be one of the most successful of that era of a satellite team that was literally
and the first year and one
put
and done.
together. Yeah, it was literally one done. It was put together in a few
2
weeks.
months?
Yeah. Well, we're done.
What about the Pimp and Hoe parties?
Did the band ever go anywhere?
We broke up.
Didn't
Creative differences. The Pimp and Hoe
I wanted
parties.
to scream, and David wanted to.
He wanted a ballad.
Yeah. Those Pimp and Hoe parties,
It's
like
next
kind of
level.
what
It's next
Chicken
level.
said about me. Like, he didn't like me because I was this preppy,
Right.
clean cut boy. I just couldn't. If I put on one of those suits, you got to laugh me out of the room.
Well, we didn't always put the suits on for the Pimp and Hoe. Like, the Pimp and Hoe parties, but remember the Club Rubber. I mean, Club Rubber was
Never went.
It was insane. I mean, the debauchery and the decadence, and it's gnarly. It was gnarly. Like, yeah.
I mean, explain it. It's like a half strip club, half dance club, half
Just
Half meatballs, half girls in a cage.
girls
duck-
in cages,
duck grease.
Yeah, I mean, he knew how to throw a party. It was way cooler than a duck grease party. There was just so much, just people having fun. Next
Denny's
level.
been to some duck grease parties.
He knows.
It was the 90s. Oh, you're having another duck grease party? Shit, why didn't you tell me?
Got a fresh can right
Yeah,
here.
no, it was good. I mean, and I remember I was staying at Froze, I think, that year because I would stop going to nationals. So he would come home, and MC would come home into nationals, and everybody jumped. That the MC would have a carload of guys, and Fro had a carload of guys, and we'd all meet up down there and smoke beady cigarettes and drink Jack and Daniels and stuff, and bang strippers and like in the bathroom, and it was just like it was crazy. Like it was debauchery. Like if I imagine rock stars and guys having crazy moments and all the things they've done, I would find it very hard to believe it would have been crazier than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some people would be surprised to know the drugs that were being used amongst that crowd.
Yeah, a lot of
it's-
a lot of ecstasy more than
It
anything.
stunned
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of things that I walked in and saw. I was like, and I was super naive, but
right. Yeah, I mean, it was
pretty. I don't know. I just always thought that was like a whole other level of.
Sure. Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
That's
Well, it was rock and roll, pip and hoe.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah.
We don't need to. I'm not trying to blow anybody out. I'm just saying it was wild.
It was
dude.
crazy time. Everybody's had a good time. Everybody, we made the most of every moment. I always thought, that's why like Bud and I are obviously good friends. Like we learned to experience. Like how many times were we ever going to be back in, Southwick, Massachusetts? Like let's go do something different.
Yeah.
Like let's go.
And we did.
Let's go canoe.
Yeah.
And we would fly on a Thursday,
Yeah.
ride Friday, do nothing all day Saturday, race Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long ass weekend. It's not like you're just in and out like today. Like
Yeah.
you.
And then we got to a thing where we're doing something every Saturday, whether it's canoeing, go and play volleyball, water park.
Played a lot of basketball.
We play basketball,
with
yeah.
Big Ed and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how about like the year for Unadillo for the GP? Bud Ben fly in and I fly in. I don't know how we got to the airport or back to the hotel or how we got to the hotel. But we wake up in the morning and everyone had left us. We didn't have a rental car or nothing. It's like, how are we going to get to the track, Bud? He's like, I don't know. Didn't anybody like leave us a car or anything? And like, and there's no cell phones then. Like, you can't reach anybody. So we took a cab to the track.
Yeah.
From Binghamton?
Utica.
Utica.
Yeah. And they weren't going to let us race because, FIM had a rule if you weren't there for practice or something,
But we were the support class, I think.
Oh, yeah, it
was
125 support. But I remember there was first everybody was mad at us. Like, how is it our fault? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
We
19,
can't rent cars.
He's 16, Could someone just pay a little attention to us here?
It's Denny and Bud. They'll be fine. They'll be there.
Yeah.
You left us in charge. What do you expect?
Why did you let us make bunk beds? That's a horrible idea. Yeah.
This is true.
It was. I remember it, yeah.
And then the next year, I think when we had a rental car, we were lost the whole time.
That's a really confusing area.
Utica's
a fun
circle,
city. Yeah. Who's the guy from up there we know? He was like, I can't think of his name, but.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Danny Nappy.
Nappy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nappy. Utica was a fun city. I remember a lot of fun things happening there. Remember when we all jumped around a car and we ran over all those trash cans and I think or something. Rhino
they had that
something.
big parking lot there by that mall. Yeah.
Good bars, Like we'd go out and hang out, not get drunk or nothing, but just like we're
check
gonna
out the
sit in the room.
scene
Let's go check it out. What's going on and stuff. Yeah.
Did you guys either of you guys ever do a GP other than US?
I never actually did a GP. Like we were the support class, but I never.
I was just curious if you did. I didn't.
Yeah. That would be. I would have.
I looked at going to Europe at some time, and kind of was checking things out, and then I think Suzuki ended up putting something together, so I ended up staying, or nothing really had come together. It was just phone calls and consideration. Like, well, maybe it would be kind of cool to go race over there,
Yeah.
Because I grew up with a fan of that stuff, and an old JT poster. I think Laporte was on it, and Heike Mekelo, and then followed when Lackey won the title and Laporte won the title. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I followed it this year really, really close, and those guys they haul ass, man.
And that might have been a good series for you because there's a lot of sand over there too, and you always rode really well in the sand.
It would have been, an adventure. Like I always thought, like I always say, let's just go try something different,
Yeah. Just think if we had
It's not too late, Denny.
duck in France, we could have had a tortellini in Italy.
Yeah.
And some meatballs.
Yeah. I mean, we had some good European trips. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and get into some arena cross. Stay tuned for more Denny Stephenson. The temps are rising, snow is melting, days are getting longer, and if you haven't gotten on the Manscaped program, you've likely cultivated a bit of a rat's nest on your chest and your nether regions. Step out of the 60s, man, and join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code WhiskeyThrottle for 20% off plus free shipping worldwide. Those dark winters that our government warned us about can leave all of us a bit hairy, dirty, and a little depressed. Wash that bullshit off with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 and brand new Ultra Premium Body Wash. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the Signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on loose skin without biting you and leaving you bloody. The advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate nuts. It also comes equipped with a 4,000K LED spotlight that will shine a light to the promised land that this year looks to be. A grooming routine isn't complete without applying Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver. These unique formulations take care of the smelliest part of your body, and they're a big boost to your confidence heading into summer. To complete the set, Manscaped threw in their Shed Travel Bag and Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs as free gifts to keep all your goodies stored comfortably. And the new product that needs no introduction, the Ultra Premium Body Wash from Manscaped, solves all three for the perfect addition to your daily grooming routine. But in the shower. This great smelling wash is cologne infused with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean, nice, and moisturized. Wash off the stank of winter hibernation and use the best tools for the job. Whatever your travel plans are, knock down the vegetation first and be sure to travel to manscaped.com for our exclusive offer of 20% off plus free shipping with the code Whiskey Throttle. Here's to clean, freshly shorn balls this spring. 20% off and free shipping. Use the code Whiskey Throttle at manscaped.com. This spring, dial in your ding-a-ling with Manscaped.
Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and a brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand. When only the highest level of performance is acceptable, trust Pro Circuit.
Since 2009, Seat Concepts has been dedicated to making the best aftermarket seats. More comfort, more grip, more riding. For 10 years, we've continued to raise the bar. Innovation and American craftsmanship make Seat Concepts the world-leading manufacturer of power sports seats.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
Specialized Bicycles. Specialized leads the way in the world of bicycling. Whether it's cross-country racing, downhill, e-bikes, enduro, road, gravel, dual slalom, dirt jumping, or all mountain bikes that do it all, Specialized has the perfect ride for you. The brand is synonymous with engineering excellence and innovation that steers the industry. Visit your local Specialized dealer for a test ride and see just how good Specialized products are.
Try to keep on keeping on.
OGO Power Sports. OGO has perfected the carrying case. Motocross gear bags, helmet bags, boot bags, hydration packs, backpacks, and travel bags, to name a few, have all been meticulously engineered to maximize space and surpass durability standards that would make NASA proud. Simply the best. OGO Power Sports.
Connected. Nurse intercom on.
It's cool to be able to hear
what they talk about and how fast they go, throttle control, braking. Really cool.
Extend your leg out. There you go. Good job. Good throttle control, Lonnie. That's a great training tool. It was a lot of fun to be on the track with them. Hey, Lano.
What?
Can you pull off over here when you get to me and your brother?
Okay.
With a rich history in motocross, ProX has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. Whether you're rebuilding an engine or just need a new chain, ProX Racing Parts aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. ProX has over 9,000 part numbers and over 60 different product types that are manufactured by highly reputable or even OEM suppliers and are offered at affordable prices to help keep riders on the bike instead of in the garage. Visit ProX.com to search parts for your bike or check them out at your favorite online or local dealer.
Audio Jungle.
The guys are just breaking in their race bikes, which will leave on the semi this Saturday to go to the first Supercross for our coast in Orlando. So the guys are just be goofing off a little bit, do some cool photos, do some cool videos. When you go racing, you want to do well, but a big key is keeping the bikes on the track. That's why we chose to work with Motul.
Expectations coming in as a rookie is just to try and get my feet wet and honestly just send it, see where I end up and do my best out there, but just ride aggressive and ride like myself in practice and I should have a good time.
Challenges of this sport, I believe, is just simply staying healthy. With how fast we're going and what we're doing, your margin for mistake is really, really small.
Stay Sick. If you have little rippers, then you have had to have seen Stay Sick bikes by now. We have created bike and experiences that allow kids to develop sooner and empower them to find their own ride. From learning to ride to sharpening skills, the Stay Sick promise is accelerated growth. Whatever path your family chooses, it's going to be the ride of your life. Stay Sick Stability Cycles.
You ever heard the phrase that the harder you work, the luckier you are? Well, at Luck Apparel, they believe in an acronym that kind of sums it up a little more simply than that: laboring under complete knowledge. So it isn't just some random chance that determines what your outcome or results are going to be. It's being educated and working your butt off to get it done. And I think that that goes hand in hand with the motocross industry. You don't get lucky into a win. You work your ass off and you make it happen. So check out Luck Apparel. They've got t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're stoked to have them on board here at the Whiskey Throttle Show in 2022. If you're in the market for a toy hauler trailer, car trailer, cargo trailer, look no further than Custom Outfitters, one of our new partners for this year. These guys do an awesome job, even so far as to dial in the inside of Sprinter vans, which have become the new standard moto transportation for moto. These guys can handle it all. They use ATC world-class trailers, top shelf service and performance in their products. Custom Outfitters out of South Dakota doing an awesome job. We're stoked to have these guys on board this year. So whether you're looking to just do some camping with the family, looking for a trailer that can fit all your toys to go out to the desert or wherever, look no further than Custom Outfitters.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation. If you don't like your life, then you should go and change it.
Welcome back. That was your Troy Lee Designs timeout. Get over to troyleedesigns.com. Look at everything they've got going on. Paint department's cranking. So if you want a cool helmet, you guys all you are a TLD helmet guy, yeah? Both of you?
Troy was when I saw him the other night, and chickens, but like he was at the airport hangar at the time, and
I remember the old airport hangar.
It was, you knew you made it when you had a Troy Lee helmet.
Yeah.
And he paid. I had a different one. Someone else had painted, but in '90 was my first Troy helmet. It was like a water kind of splashing deal. Yeah, I was like, yep, I've arrived.
Maybe a little fun fact that Denny was kind of a helmet designer connoisseur
Stickers,
himself.
vinyl, numbers.
Oh, yeah?
I used to have a little artsy-fartsy side to me. Yeah, but I would. You're such a big fan of the custom helmets back then that I would buy stuff and cut it up and make numbers, put them on your helmet, look all fancy.
Yeah, so my son-in-law has a couple of my helmets up in him and my daughter's house, and I'm looking at some of these stickers going, I did not do that. I don't do it that well. And I go, oh, Denny did them.
Yeah, I would do it. I'd sit at the amateur national sometimes. If someone's helmet, I'd have like a bunch of different colored electrical tape and start just busting them out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Debo Designs, dude. You should bring it up.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
You got vinyl? I'll paint it.
I will. Yeah.
All right. So we hit on a lot of stuff. What about Havasu? What's the best Havasu trip you ever had?
That was just a fun place, too. I mean, just hanging out with everybody. I don't know if I was there, or I feel like I was there just for the story when Nate Dogg, you shoved him off, and it was like rode in the cooler or something.
In the cooler? You weren't there that one?
I don't know. I feel like I was, even though I think, you hear a story enough times, you're like, maybe I was there.
Maybe. I don't know. One of the funnest trips for me was the year we all stayed in Crazy Horse Campground, and Krusty had just came out, and we were watching Krusty every night and morning or whatever, and then we were going. I think we borrowed Fro's boat for the weekend. We were packing like 10 people on there.
When he had the double-decker pontoon with Frankenstein stereo, and there was way too many people on the thing.
Yeah.
And I think Lebo was driving, or one of them, and he drove right into a wake. And it didn't know, it dove. And some people were just sitting on the front of it, like sitting in like tubes and stuff. And it could have been way bad. Like, it made Fro realize, like, whoa, this is a liability. Like, I could have killed someone right here. So let's dial it down a little bit, because it freaked everybody out. Like, dude, I thought we were going to drown. And we went there for your bachelor party, remember?
Yep.
And Shelly would only let us go if she got the boat.
She got sucked
So
up.
we didn't have a boat, but we knew we had to get to
Copper Canyon.
And I brought some guy with me. It was actually that Cheryl Lynch that we were talking about on another show. Her boyfriend, for some reason, came with us. I didn't even know the guy really.
Yeah.
And so we got to get to Copper Canyon. So we jump into this boat with some dude, and it's literally like blowing smoke. It's like, it's the biggest piece of shit.
And he decided to get on the bow of the boat and just ride up there with how packed it was.
Yeah.
With his feet hanging over the side of the boat in front.
And he hits this wave. This guy just hits a little boat. Some big waves out there, obviously. And the guy flies over the side, and where you tie the
cleats.
The cleats, like one of them was broken. He's hanging upside down. It's in his hamstring, hooked in his leg, and he's upside down.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're like, man, we need to take you back. No, just take me straight to, we'll be good. I'm like, dude, that thing had to be so infected from, yeah.
Yeah,
that was on your boat?
No. Shelly had the boat. We thumbed rides out to Copper
like, hey,
Canyon.
man, you going to Copper Canyon? This guy's like, give me some money or something. I'll take you out there. It was a piece of shit boat.
And once you got out there, you can kind of just, Shelly was out there with our boat. And, we could kind of move around and have some fun.
You still have the best boat name.
Suck My Pump.
Suck My Pump.
Yeah.
I designed your second boat paint job.
Yep. Yeah.
Suck My Pump was good. That thing was small, but it was feisty.
So I took that.
Kind of like Bud.
It had the footprint gas pedal, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I
big. And I got that from the old Great Outdoors movie, and they had Suck My Wake. So I figured I'd just put pump on it. I thought that was pretty cool. And John Candy ran that thing up on the ramp. We never did that, but the throttle cable on that thing broke a lot. Or the reverse, it was a jet, so you basically open the jet or you close it off to kind of slow the boat down.
Yeah.
And the cable broke, so we'd be coming in the dock or whatever. Someone would have to crawl over the headers and all that and push the thing closed so we didn't run into the dock.
I mean, a lot of people didn't die out there. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and then that trip too, the bachelor/bachelorette party, we got Shelly a slip for the boat so she didn't have to take it in and out of the water each day. And but those old jet boats, they took on water, so we had to go. Someone would always make the trip with me and go pump out the bilge the water out of the boat so it was ready for her the next day.
Yeah.
And they got it in the water, and I remember at the end of the trip, I pulled the boat out of the water for her. Went to take the plug out and just,
it just fell out?
It just fell out. Somehow that thing stayed in for her. But, and it was a big weekend. I think it was a Memorial weekend or something like that. So her driving that boat.
Like that, for that or 4th of July.
That's not a great boat for out there.
No. Yeah. It was
a little flat bottom jet.
And I remember Raleigh's mom, when we were like in McGrath's boat or something, or in Fro's boat, or it wasn't yours, but
it was.
Like everybody was screwing around in it. And
it was my boat, and Shelly was driving for some reason.
And
she turned, and Michelle was talking to Hilton's girlfriend or someone else's girlfriend, and they hit heads because Shelly turned the boat. We were kind of
and the boat kind of went cha-cha-cha and stuck.
Yeah,
and everybody everyone went flying again, and Michelle was talking to whoever, and they conked heads. And she's like, oh, like crying, like I broke my eye or something. And like she looked fine. And
Yeah,
like,
it didn't look bad.
Like you're messing with the good time here. Let's just calm it down there. You know, don't be so panicky.
You know, I had a guy that got a cleat stuck in his.
Yeah, like you're fine. You know, don't be such a hypochondriac. And so we get back to the docks, and I remember I was helping like wipe off the boat or something, and she went gone up, and she was taking a shower, and like blood just started pouring out of her nose and stuff. So the ambulance showed up. And I get to the hospital, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, you were being so dramatic. And then I see that the doctor comes in, and she had horseshoed her eye from conking heads. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to have surgery, like, right there in Havasu. They were going to fly us to Vegas. And they were going to, remember Seth?
Yeah.
Like, peel her face off and to fix it, all this stuff.
Put a web thing in there, right, or something like that?
Yeah, and we ended up going to, like, 3 doctors and ended up not doing it. But I'll never forget the picture of Seth looking like that. I'm like my wife at the time would not look like Seth. You know, I don't want to see staples. And so we went to 3 or 4 doctors, and finally one, they went up to her eyelid and popped out like a dent in the car. And
wow.
Like how night and day differences are those projects, you know, like we're going to peel your face off.
And we're just going to go in there and pop
We're
it
going
out.
to pop it out in your eyelid. Like I've always said, like doctors, you get what you pay for, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in the business of selling their product, which is surgery.
Yeah.
That was quite the trip. And then, you know, it's just ironic. You know, I'm usually driving. Shelley liked to drive back every once in a while at the end of the day, and she's ran the boat out of gas twice because she didn't look at the gas gauge before we left. And then, you know, obviously conked to Michelle's head, and it was, you know, not a bit at fault. Just one of those things where the boat hooked a little bit. They were close talking, and you know, and probably the right angle hitting each other.
Yeah, it was a weird deal, but. You know, it's like it could be dangerous.
Yeah, and I've had to go the opposite way. Nathan Ramsey was driving my boat, and McGrath was kind of end of the evening. We're coming back, and do you remember that old casino ferry that went from London Bridge over to the California side?
Yeah.
That thing kicked up this massive like wake behind it, this big old wake, right? And so Nathan's driving my boat. MC's in his, and he's got a few people just hanging out on his belt because it was late and it was kind of cruising. Get into these ways, and Nathan doesn't know any better, so he doesn't chop. And we just go, through it, right? MC decides to chop, and the boat goes down in there and flips everybody off the back of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And luckily into the, where everybody sits, but easily had this big bruise. I mean, it's dangerous out there.
Yeah, and you mix a lot of booze and a lot of idiots. Yeah, I remember guys like that's when they stopped having, the party cove because guys were like, they couldn't get in to save people because people were doing stupid shit, getting chopped up by blades and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember swimming around with you and Dave. I'm not a great swimmer.
Yeah.
And I remember just like, wait, come up, guys. Wait, hold on, I'll be right there. I'm like dog paddling around and stuff.
Yeah, and same thing. Rhino one year had a cast on, and he was trying to swim across to a boat or whatever, and he's coming back, and he starts like going down, and I go and swim and
Baywatch.
I Baywatched Dave Hasselhoff his ass and got him back. You know,
what was your dad used to always tell you about if you ever found yourself out in a lake?
Sink to the bottom and run like hell.
Yeah,
because you will not survive swimming.
And to be honest with you, going back to the river, once we started getting out of that Copper Canyon kind of feel, and we started going upriver and hanging out the sandbar, it was a lot
different,
lot better,
safer. Yeah, get away from all the idiots necessarily. Yeah, the guy flipping off and hanging upside down. That's a bad weekend for you, buddy.
Yeah. All right, we got to touch on the Krusty video because we were all involved in that mini bike race at Froze.
Mm-hmm.
I took the stiff arm of the day. I should have won a $5.
He did. He just literally shoved you to the ground, and you just went down.
Didn't even get a handout or anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But $5 for best takeout and $5 for the win. You got them both.
Got them both.
Yeah, the takeout was you, and then the $5 was the win. The coolest thing is when you watch it back, how Denny was announcing.
The way it's edited is
and they
just
edited
awesome.
it.
They did a good job.
And then he was running on the track pushing people.
Because I remember
I didn't think you were racing that day.
I think who knows? I was talking to a stick. But I remember Fro had one bike, and we went and bought like a chaparral and got another one. And those guys showed up. And like just the shit you could get away with back then. Like you're not seeing Jet Lord smashing a beer, you know?
No.
Yeah. That was just a cool time. And it took a long time to come out. Like they shot it over like 2 years.
Yeah, it did take a while.
And then when it finally came out, the way it exploded was crazy. I mean, it invented freestyle motocross, you know.
Yeah.
And the pit bike racing, obviously, it was a huge influence.
Turned into a big thing, yeah. Yeah. From that video, everybody thought I could always just superly ride a pit bike because of my size and stiff arm and all that, but I really wasn't that good. It was just one of those days where.
Did you ever do the race at Mitch's? Because that was actually the first ones. Mitch had some races in his backyard.
Well, remember, you ever heard that Langtown? I was like, the guy had it in his backyard with like an over-under.
But they rode like 150s or something. Yeah. They rode bigger.
But I remember like
little bikes.
We knew what was going to happen, so I remember out with the sprinkler or the hose. Like that place was muddy as hell. It was slippery. Yeah, and the fact he pushed you over so easily like that.
I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. You got me good.
Well, you were mad because I just stuffed you, I think, before that, and then you were trying to cut the track to get me back.
Yeah.
So,
God dang.
You should be embarrassed by that.
I am. Well, what else can I be?
Yeah.
But it was fun.
It was fun. All right, go to 97. You're going to Arena Cross. You already knew?
No. So,
worst decision ever is inviting him to race Arena Cross.
Yeah. So Denny knew he was going to Arena Cross. That was already.
Tough had called my dad, Dave Analak, and was like, man, we want him to come do this series. And I think it was getting bigger, and with like Jimmy Gaddis, Buell was winning. There was a very, there was money to be made.
That was the first year of the PJ1 points fund as well for a championship bonus from the promoter.
Was that the one? Yeah. I mean, there was good money to be made, and so.
And you had obviously done the Arena Cross, the year before when in Des Moines.
I'd done some over the years because they had a bunch in the Midwest, and I'm like, well, let's just do something different, like in trying to extend my career. And I remember telling Bud, like, hey, you've been kind of privateering for the last few years. You're having a kid. I think let's try this out. I think this would be a great opportunity. And he's obviously crushed it and extended my career 6 years.
And what he actually said was, it's great to chase the dream, but it's time to make some money.
Because he was almost looking down, like it was like, it's a different series. It's not Supercross, Yeah. And I felt like at the time, like, hey man, let's just go do it.
And it was obviously a very, very good decision that my best friend helped me make, and it was his words that ultimately led me that direction.
My kid was, not enough could be said. What he made a great series and created it, and it was
a great show.
Yeah, it was a show. He was a showman, absolutely. He's one of the guys that, like, if you knock someone down, he'd like come over and like that was, he'd find you, but then he'd like that was rad, like do that again, and I always call that it's like the bull ring, dealing with Jones, Budman, everybody. It was just. Kill or be killed a lot of times.
Yeah, Goodman, Swap, Buell, Gaddis. There was a slew of good riders, obviously, that could win, and there was multiple winners, especially that first year too.
We rode. there was a lot of racing. We rode both bikes, both classes, 4 main events a weekend. One year, I think we raced. It was like 17 weekends. There was like 78 main events.
Yeah, something like that.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would just we would literally sometimes fight literally on the track. Grayson Goodman, I knocked him down in Denver. I got out, and I ended up getting to the pack to win, and he came up to me, and I thought he was going to congratulate me. He's cutting the track, and he throws the bike down and just waylays me. And so there's a big fight on the track now. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh, we got to ride a duty class. Let's get up here and go get the other bike and come back out. And, yeah,
that happened one year in Jacksonville, too. I think
Jason Thomas.
Yeah, and it was me and Buell out front or something like that. And, I literally did not know, should I keep racing or are they going to?
It was on the start straight. They were fighting.
Who?
There's
Mechanics
5 guys, and we're still racing, going by oh shit! There's this is actually happening.
You literally there was nothing flags going out because everyone's trying to break it up. So you literally just slowing down, going, what are we doing? And then you'd race, and they're still going, and you're like, are they going to stop this or do we keep going?
Yeah, I remember Thomas always when he showed up one time. I guess I just knocked him down in practice because of it. He's like, I don't even know what I did. I'm like, that's just what you did. Oh, you're a new guy? I'm going to put you on the ground real quick. And Nick Way would come do it. Ramsey would come do it,
Ping would come do it, too.
Yeah.
I did a couple.
Yeah.
I did one in 97 in Salt Lake that wasn't part of the series, and I did really well.
Yeah.
And I thought, I got these. I can win these. And then I came the next year in 98 to Arco.
When we were in full
which
form.
was a points one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even get to the first turn, and Jonesy had me outside the arena.
I think in the daytime race, Clifford Adatante was a good rider, but he was not kind of a front of the package jump style. They're making money, and he went by you in the whoops, and I was like, oh, Ping.
It's going to be a long night, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I was on an FMF Honda that year, too, which I could run around the track faster than that bike would go. So that doesn't surprise me.
I mean, Bradshaw came and did it for a season.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Like, he literally didn't, like, the first night in Des Moines, he didn't even qualify. Like, he was like, holy fuck. And then, Damon, next night he wins.
Yeah.
But
arena cross is weird. It's like its own little animal. You think, I got supercross, so I'll just come in. This will be easy.
Yeah, no, it's a learned discipline. Like when they tried to make it, the stepping stone to supercross. I'm like, you learn nothing about supercross and arena cross. Like, you're turning around a barrel, 18-second lap times, whatever the hell they are.
Yeah, and the whoops are big in arena cross, but the difference is there's not much run into them.
Yeah.
So in supercross you got pretty good run into them, and in arena cross, you're just coming to that left. So there's two ways you can do it. You can run mid-turn out wide to get some momentum, or you can run inside and just try to get on top of them. But it really came down to, how consistent you could be through the whoops and then how your turn speed was,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bud, really figured that out. Like, he studied it and kind of knew, like, there'd always be some big rhythm section, and Charlie Bogard would do it, and, we would try it and do it, and Budman just double single. He's like, dude, I can do this so easy, and I can get through the corner faster because I'm not so worried about jumping the thing. Yeah, he turned it, like, really figured it out. Yeah.
But the best was, and I took this, I still teach this to some of my kids today. Whenever we lined up for the Dash for Cash, it's like that mental switch. This guy would always tell me I can go as fast as anybody for 4 laps.
Come anybody, come one, come all. Like, it's a 17-second track. I got 2 minutes of racing with 4 corners. Like, it's not rocket science.
It's not, but it's like I use with some of my kids today. Say we're doing 2-lap sprints and we got a little bit of a gap difference. Like, I'm going, you should believe that I can run with this person for 2 laps. And it really was something that I took. It's like, you should be at that level. Like, you shorten that race, I can run with you.
Yeah. And it was good cash, man. Like, dude.
What were you guys making a year through those? I mean, like, what would a good arena cross guy make?
Well, I think it varied a little bit.
Because as a privateer, the previous 3 years or support guy, I can't imagine you were making a lot of money. Supercross and motocross.
No. But I raced. I would go money races and make money in fair races and go to Europe and stuff. And obviously, purse money isn't a whole lot. But I think my best year in arena cross was when I rode Suzuki's with you.
Yeah.
Like, we won everything. And it was close to 200 grand.
Yeah.
It was a lot of and the Dash for Cash. There was so many bonuses involved. Like, Mike wanted everybody to get paid. He was great at bringing sponsors. He shared the wealth. And that was what was so cool about him. And then when AMA stepped in, they tried to change it into the little series of Supercross. And again, it's like, no, man, that's not how it should be promoted. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah, we weren't hurting for money in those years for sure. It was flowing in, and Mike did a great job of making sure we had money available to make. It was very profitable. I think my highest year was $399 or something like that.
So, I mean, you can make.
And you had a lot of times, again, like, if you're racing a series with 78 main events, like, you're going to make money by just default at that point, And the purse was pretty good. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Bonuses were good. Yeah. Dash for Cashes were always fun.
Dash for Cash was great. And then,
what do you think's going on though? Because it's kind of bounced around. There was the Buku thing, and then it was the Road to Supercross, and those have both failed. Now there's 2 separate series going on.
Yeah, one is just basically like amateur day. It's like 100 classes.
Is that the Hoosier one?
That's the Hoosier one, yeah. Then the Kicker one is the one that it's more like our stuff. It's like a regular track. I don't think they run amateurs with them all day. But when they started trying to go to bigger markets and warm areas and stuff, like, Mike knew, like, let's go to nowhere, or Nebraska, not Nebraska, but like Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, they need to go to a place where people are hard up for entertainment.
Got nothing else to do other than come out and watch some racing, and that's what he was so good at knowing to do. And there weren't probably some of the greatest, nicest venues, but they were in parts of towns that no one had. It was cold as hell.
It was cold. People were coming out. And I remember starting from the first year in 96, 97, and then each year, you see it growing too, and then there was a simple fact in our day too, which I think they're trying to do now, was it Speed? Speed TV was just kind of coming out.
Right.
And they had arena cross on every weekend. I think my first championship, I think that was a live event from my 97 first championship, live on Speed. So, there was
he knew how to promote it. Yeah, it was out there. Now,
and you got Bryce was a big part of that too. That helped him.
I don't think Fro and Ralph realized that with the series they're announcing, like, they're basically calling a local race. I mean,
I think he knows. He said he just wanted to go do it for fun.
Yeah.
And kind of get back in the booth with Ralph.
But something like that could help, mainstream it a little bit as well.
Sure.
I really hope that arenacross comes back because it was a great avenue for people to make money racing dirt bikes. I think where it went wrong, and Denny, you can agree with me or disagree, is once they tried to make it its own thing or make it the supercross thing, and then we started having arenacross specialists. Like the fact that Kyle Peters could win his championship and go out and get a third in Arlington, that's huge for people to understand that these guys, they can get down,
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of why people tuned in for us too, because we could do well at arenacross and still show up at a supercross and be competitive.
I think we brought in like a fan base from supercross, and so
that's true too.
I think people could relate to it, and it was good racing. It was good entertainment. Yeah.
Dasher caches though, that thing would go over $1,000, and you knew Denny and Mike were just over there chomping at the bit.
Like, man, I can make $1,000 for 2 minutes.
Ready to slit throats for that.
Yeah.
What was the biggest one that you won?
I think Jones had won. I think Jones won the biggest one at Denver that time. But yeah, $2,500, crazy. People would just start like outbidding each other for like an autographed jersey or something. It was crazy. The money from Dallas and Denver were usually the biggest ones. And well,
he had a few big shops at those areas, them coming up and putting in money to plug their.
Yep. And Robbie Floyd was great at the announcers. He would get everybody all fired up. But yeah, to look back at it, that they were pilfering fans' money to give away to us was, I don't know if people would quite buy that today,
Yeah. And then one year he did something that was fun too is, everyone kind of complained they didn't have time qualifying there about how your pick was for the heat race, and he didn't really do a points thing. So he decided you're going to do these one lap hot laps and timed, that's how you get your gate pick, right? And you had to do 125 and 250, and then he went ahead and gave you $100 for fastest time qualifying. So if you got 4 of them on the weekend, it's another $400.
Yeah,
it's tough for us to add up, like you said.
And we had great sponsors. I mean, it was like we got paid to ride. The bikes were good. The teams were organized.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could quite get. Supercross, it's so big, and now I don't know if I know that Babbitt's did it for a long time. I don't know if you could get quite the same sponsorship, but I don't know. I mean, it's still racing a bike and extend your careers, and who wants to not watch dirt bike racing?
Yeah, no, and I obviously Phoenix Honda is putting Kyle out there and a few guys, and they're seeing the benefits and have it. Babbitt's did for years.
Yep.
And hopefully, a few more come around and get some more guys out there. But hopefully, these arena crossers like Kyle, they got the time the dirt bike racers come over and ride the supercross too. Like,
well, I think that's what he did with Kicker Series. Like they purposely scheduled it 6 rounds, I think. So when it ends, the East starts. So that way their riders can go ride them.
Would arena cross be a good place to debut these electric bikes they're coming? I mean, right? They're
definitely coming.
A year or two of them starting to race.
Yeah, I talked to Hill about the new bike that that's out and stuff, and he said they're trying to get it somehow legalized to race. Some of these last nationals or maybe some GPs and stuff. I didn't realize it was that close, but he said it's fast. But like, how do you compare an electric motor to a
you don't?
They got to be. They almost got to be on their own, right?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Is you're gonna screw up and do what you did to 2-strokes and kill racing again, and now we got to start over again.
Because they overshot that one, obviously.
Just pump the brakes. Let them race locally in an electric class. Maybe have an arena cross electric class or something, right? I don't know, man. I just hate for them to go, run it.
Yeah, you can't have 5 bikes and 5 electric ones, and the rest gas. Like you said, it's got to be its own standalone deal.
I don't know. It's a little sketchy to me. But I thought that would be
not a bad idea.
If there got to be enough of them, and maybe there's a few different brands that have them.
Well, you're closer to the manufacturers. Like how close is Honda and Yamaha?
Honda has one. I mean, you've seen the Mugen one that they've been farting around on.
I haven't seen it ride, just the photos and stuff.
I guarantee you, with this Varg that's now saying they're coming this summer.
Right, that they're going to step up.
Every other manufacturer, they've got a bike. Yamaha makes electric motors for mountain bikes and for.
Right, I can't even fathom it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just a quiet stadium of?
No.
Sound like RC cars out there racing.
Well, no, I can't. I think it's gonna be really weird. But I think, well, maybe at an arena cross, you got a DJ up there just playing music, and I don't know. Better get ready.
I agree. It's not like whether you like it or not. It's happening.
Yeah. So you also met your wife or ex-wife now And how did that happen? Did you know her before?
Nope. First race we raced arena cross was Denver and Halloween. Then she walked in. I was talking to Floyd. I somehow knew Robbie Floyd or something, announcer. And she walked in, and I was like, I'm going to hook up with that.
Was she in her little rubber black cat suit?
No, not yet. Not yet. But, yeah, got a great kid out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
But we had a good time, like everyone did. Like everybody that raced together, partied together, and hung out, and grabbed beers afterwards. The mechanics were cool as shit. Like if I wanted to dash, I'd go buy pizzas for everybody and stuff, or like a 6-pack of beer with 3 missing or something.
Hanging out in the lobby.
Like everybody it was just such a positive vibe. Like we knew how much fun we were having and how fortunate that we were given this opportunity to be out there and make money doing something that. Who would have thought that we could do this? We all were raised to race supercross and outdoors, and then all of a sudden this
little gem came up.
That's kind of what Supermoto was for me, like with Wardy and Mickey and those guys.
Yeah.
We wanted to win. We all raced hard, same as you guys, but then it was like the KTM guys were making brats, and we'd all hang out at their pit, and Kerry Hart would, bring a bunch of beer, whatever. Like it was just, we all hung out.
It was.
And it was like old days of motocross.
Yeah.
When we were kids, and it was just
a total
fun.
Positive vibe of everybody having fun, and like we would kill each other, and then after the race, everybody would hang out.
Yeah,
that's true.
I miss that, man.
What? Hanging out with everybody. Yeah, it's so.
I just miss the fun
camaraderie, I guess.
Yeah.
But then again, Chicken or whatever. Like he just didn't give a fuck about nobody. When we talked about things, I just always had fun. Like I enjoyed it. Like it's arena cross was it.
Mm-hmm. So when did you get to the end of the arena cross rope and decide you were done there?
My thing, I don't preach, but that's how when you hit a triple or a double off the start with 5 of the guys around you, and you do this, it's time to get the fuck off the track because someone behind you is going to land on you. Now you're a hazard, but if you start thinking, and I knew I started doing that, and I'm like, I just wasn't comfortable doing stuff, and I'm like, I think it's done, and. I'm really happy and I feel blessed that I got to walk away on my own terms. I decided when I was done, it wasn't taken away from me. I felt like I got the most out of my career, and I have peace of mind with that. And we see guys get hurt and their careers are ripped from them, and you can see that it's our lives obviously, and so to be able to step away and go, okay, man. It's time to turn off the lights. Yeah, and it was good, and I was stoked on it. Then I slipped into the Smith job, which was really cool.
Yeah, how did that come about?
I think we were out in California, I think, for Fro's wedding, and J-Bone had mentioned, like, hey, Smith's looking for a guy out here. You want me to call him or something? I said, yeah, give me his numbers. So I called Mark Ferris up, and he's like, yeah, I think Rich Taylor had left or something. And we're looking for a moto dude. So come on out. And we interviewed. And I like, yeah, let's do it. And so we moved out there. He paid for us to move out there. And that was a fun part, like to see the other side of the business.
Yeah, you really liked that job. I think it became overwhelming at the end with all the.
Which is a lot of, I had a hard time telling anyone no. So I have like 100 riders' dads have my phone number that, from East Coast to West Coast. And hey, I'm going to order my kid some goggles. Then would talk to me for an hour about his kid, which is cool. But that got a little exhausting. I think anybody who's ever been in that business knows it. But like Mark Ferris was a rad dude, and Doc Wobbs, and it's the truck, got the truck on the job. I didn't have to build goggles or anything. Like I was just had to help market some stuff, contract guy, get orders out. Yeah, that was a great job. Yeah, I don't know why I left. No, I left to go to. Then I became agent job came up, and
you could go back to Omaha too with that.
Well,
job,
I left after 2 years in California. I decided, Mark had heard I was kind of maybe looking for something else, and he's like, "No, man, we want to keep you. If you want to go back,
you can do
you can work. Satellite deal, obviously." And so went home, stayed with Smith for about 6 years, and then the agent deal kind of came up. And at that point, you kind of like, well, I want a bigger responsibility. Like I want to put my toe and have a more responsibility, cool job. And that wasn't, and it wasn't cool, but it was just a really cool job to see the different side again. So now I've ridden, I was in marketing deal, and now I'm like dealing with the contracts and how the money's being made, and I got to do the TV. I'm a lucky motherfucker, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you enjoy the TV stuff?
Oh, it was great. Being a fan. You're the voice of Supercross. Why would it was great, and I put in my work. I brought notes. trying to explain things. Yeah, it was awesome. I was really bummed when I didn't get it the next year.
Yeah, and that sucks because I feel like you need a couple seasons. It takes a little bit of time to figure out
timing,
right? Timing, and then like you watch yourself back and you're like, I sound stupid. Like why didn't I should be saying this? It just takes some time to figure out.
And I remember the first because I was announcing arenacross with Robbie Floyd and some freestyle stuff, and so I was already kind of had my foot in the door with Feld. And I did a demo tape with Robbie Floyd, and it was having known him for so long, and he's so good at what he does. Same with like Ralph. He knows how to make you better. Like he knows when to feed you. He knows when to stop talking. Where I don't see that same camaraderie with Ricky like he had with Ralph that he has with Lee. It seems like it doesn't flow as well, and I think a lot of that had to do with Ralph as well. Yeah.
It's a counterpart sometimes that helps you get through stuff, right?
Yeah.
So then the agent job, how did that? Did you like that?
Yeah. How'd
that come about?
Well, my buddy Bob Walker from Nebraska was like Deegan's agent stuff, and he's decided to get a little bit bigger, and so he was handling like the Geico job. Like he brought in stuff for them at Factory Connection for those guys. He's like, well, I'd like to get a little bit more into the rider side of things, but I want to handle all this stuff, so why don't you come in and do this? And I'm like, okay, that'd be pretty cool. And so I went out and signed Josh Grant and Trey Kennard, who Trey had already kind of everything done with the Geico team and stuff. I wasn't really able to do much with him. But Josh, I helped him do the whole contract with JGR, all the process of that, and then watching him win A1. I mean, that's like still to my day like one of the coolest things I've seen. Like, man, just watch him and be a part of that. That was pretty badass. And to see how the other side of the business too. Like there's some shady fuckers out there, man. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you start to see budgets and how quickly it goes, and at least from
he was
when I was managing
then.
Troy's, I got to see how much of your budget that eats
payroll.
up.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, that's like one of the websites. I think it was Pulp or not Pulp Swap. Did a list of all the riders and teams, like staff. And the Yacht Star one, it just went on and on and on. Like, God, how did they afford all these guys?
Dude, they got a nut every month. Big one.
That's crazy.
How did you like having a little bit of the rider's career in your hands? Was that something that was nerve-wracking for you, or do you feel comfortable with it? Or
I was comfortable with it because I feel like at the time I felt like I know what they want. Obviously, we're riders. I wasn't like some business guy that came in. Like I knew.
You could relate
what he needed to be successful, and then working with them, like when Josh was at Honda and we went after, I remember the first time we went to St. Louis and I talked to J-Bone. I'm like, hey man, Grant's looking for a 450 ride and stuff. He's like, I'm not signing that kid. He's a punk kind of. I'm like, dude, he's just like us. He's 90s, straight 90s and goes so fast. And so I somehow had talked this Honda team into like letting Josh ride a 450 at Seattle, and he got a 6th. I'm like, dude, all you did, like that was like the best, audition that he could have possibly done. So we left Millville and flew to Charlotte, and he rode the Yamaha and just
crushed it
so fast. Like to watch him ride a bike was just like, whoa, man, this guy knows what he's like. He would it was on or off, man. And so then, we ended up signing the deal. He ended up signing the deal. And then one opening round, that was just like you couldn't have wrote the script better. Like it's literally it's like the end of the movie, and it was But then again, Trey was kind of on his own deal, and so about that same time is when the economy started crashing and stuff, and the company that owned Bob decided, hey, we don't need 2 guys on staff. So I got a call and said, no, you're out of a job at the time, and I'm still living in Omaha. I'm going through a divorce. So I'm making calls. Like the only way to get back in the industry is to get back out here. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I'm not, not gonna leave my son in Nebraska just for a job. So I got in construction. Nothing like reinvent yourself at 42 years old in manual labor.
I wanted to ask you that. Did you know anything about finish carpentry, or what are you doing?
Nothing. Like my dad was a carpenter, but I didn't inherit anything. I had a couple of roommates when I said that they moved in and stuff, and one of them built houses. And he's like, man, I'm sick and tired of watching you just lay around the house right now. Like, come work with me. And I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about construction. And the first day on the job, he gives me a nail gun, an air gun,
Pop, pop, pop.
And
holding it sideways.
I got a tool belt on. And I'm working with other guys, and they don't know that I don't know anything. And so I'm just, okay, yeah, just trying to stay busy, moving things and not killing anybody. But
he's still got his nail gun ready to go. You need a nail?
Yeah, and my buddy that I worked with at the time was one of those guys who he was totally felt like had to tell everybody what to do all the time. But for me, that was great because I knew nothing.
Yeah.
So I just listened and just, was a sponge. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. I'm making money.
Yeah.
Building stuff's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you enjoy that? I mean, and what the hell do you do in the winter? You don't work in the winter, do you?
You freeze your ass off. Yeah,
but you guys are still out
just
working.
throw on some about 18 layers. Like I'll wear 7 or 8 different layers and I'll take it off and set it on the floor, and in the morning I'll shimmy back in.
Hoping it's still warm.
Yeah. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So just houses, like full complete houses, or
decks,
you guys
decks?
Okay.
Now, yeah. I left my one buddy and started working with another buddy of mine, and building decks. Yeah, like for either home builders or just if somebody wanted to redo it, put floors in, all that stuff. Yeah.
Huh.
It's a gig.
Decent money though, and
yeah, it's work.
It's cool to be able to see something you've built with your hands.
That's what's cool. Yeah, you step back and go, yeah,
I did that.
I mean, it's not like.
And at the end of the day, you feel like, man, I just worked my ass off for the day. And good to go lay on the couch and chill.
It's it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
In the cold and stuff. Yeah, I'm not getting any younger, so if anyone wants to hire me.
Well, do you
1-900 Debo?
Right.
Do you see yourself trying to get back into the industry at all?
Probably not. No.
It's
changed so much. Obviously. I think I was talking to someone the other day and like, dude, you walk around the pits and we barely know anyone really. I mean, it's a whole new vibe of people, and it's done differently. So probably not. No, but I'm still going to follow it. I got my website that I do with the fantasy motocross. And
that's
stuff.
A lot of fun. I started playing that last summer, and I have a blast. And then my buddy Brad Hagseth got involved this supercross season, and he's texting me every weekend.
Oh man, it'll ruin your night.
Yeah,
like, you get so mad and involved or invested in it. You're like, God, he's down in the first turn. He's not going to make the main. Like, I don't even want to watch now.
So this summer I started writing and doing the outdoor stuff, and I think it was Colorado, and obviously I picked Eli. And I'm yelling at the TV. Eli wasn't doing great, and Chili's like, well, are you mad because your fantasy pick or because Eli's not doing good? And I go, oh.
Yeah.
Mostly fantasy. But.
Yeah.
So now I make my picks, and I don't look at them till the next day. So I kind of make them, but I don't like memorize them, and I just leave them till the next day and then figure it out. But
I've tried it once, and I don't know, man. I can't really get into it, but people are digging it.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Moto X Dream 360. Right.
Well, you were the original too. You started this
the
way
very
back,
first
right?
one we did. Yeah, my buddy got me into playing fantasy March Madness. Like you pick players on the teams, and as the teams advanced, you got their points and stuff like that. And I never watched college basketball or anything. I was like, but I was like all about it. So I'm like, hey, we should. I had a pen and paper league kind of fantasy stuff, fantasy motocross, and so my buddy decided and helped make this website. And we came up with a format. We were literally sitting in a bar, and I wrote it on a napkin. Like, this is what we need. 4 riders, this. And, you pick 4 riders, 250, 4 riders, 450. And you had hot riders. Like, so that way you'd go farther down the list and stuff like that. So we ran it for about, I think 4 or 5 years. We gave trips to U.S. Open. Like, when we rode for St. Louis Power Sports, they gave me a bike to give away and stuff like that. And at the time, no one else had anything like it. But after time, it become work, and I was busy doing all the stuff with Smith and TV and stuff. So we sold it off to a buddy of ours who played, was shockingly, be able to create something and sell it off. And then he sold to Motorsports, I think motorsports.com or something like that. And I think Pulp took it over because they basically run the same format that we used to with some little twists on it. And so during the COVID break, there's nothing but no racing or anything, So I started to do like fantasy games with my buddies on the text, like with old races, like just pick the top 5 out of it and stuff. And Chad, my buddy, he cheated on it and
Googled.
Yeah, it's too hard to not get away. So I changed it into a salary format and stuff like that. And then the girl I was dating at the time, like encouraged it, and we got it. I called my old buddies up again. They're like, yeah, we'd love to do it. So we're back doing it again. But I wanted to do something a little different with it because it's hard to compete with what Steve's got going on over there, with the guys at RMX got going on, because you can't compete with those prizes. So I want to get into some type of, the gambling aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, got to find something legal through like Costa Rica or something like that. So
Why is gambling not legal in moto? And is it ever going to be? Like, why can you bet on every other sport on the planet?
Like,
and
I
for
read
some
that-
reason, we're not legal to do that.
I think you can do it. It's just not done.
Why isn't it done then?
Because no one's really taken a step yet. I mean, it's like you said, you can bet on basically any sport, and I think the fantasy aspect of it is going to bring it to that at some level. But I read that story that Chris, what's his name, wrote Racer X. Drawing a blank.
Holder.
No, anyways, Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson, yeah.
You said Chris, huh?
Yeah, I was going to say Chris Johnson. But he, when he went to Vegas and they wanted him to create a spread, or like a handicap season and stuff. So I think there were so many, for a while there, like one guy was winning all the time. So it kind of, what would you bet on, what would almost like be too easy to win. So I think the fantasy aspect, and now things are becoming, like look at pro sports. They've so adopted it. You can just basically get on your phone and do it. So I think that it can advance, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everybody loves money and gambling for some reason.
The cool thing is, too, is Denny's always been a really good writer, and so reading some of his, what would you call those, just like summaries
blurbs of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, read a couple. They're really, really.
Yeah, no, you do an awesome job.
Really,
no, it's fun.
Really
it just brings a different way to watch the races, obviously. It gives you more invested in it.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're literally yelling at the TV when your rider falls or something,
Well, it doesn't matter what sport it is. If you don't have a team or a rider, you're like, I don't know, I don't really care, But if there's somebody,
you
doesn't
get
matter
more
who it is.
invested.
Yeah, then you're into it.
It's salary based. It's 4 riders in each class, and it's you have to put some thought process in it. But I didn't want to put it so you had to go too deep in the pack. Like you can still be watching your riders on TV. They're not running, 15th to 20th.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I might have to check it out.
You have to check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Tell me what happened last year when you went off the map. You had people worried.
Yeah,
dude.
no,
like,
I didn't.
I was
Yeah.
blowing your phone up.
Yeah,
like everybody else.
I was just
going,
talking
dude.
to someone about that the other, because obviously I haven't seen a lot of people, so they've been curious. Man, I just was in kind of a weird relationship with a girl, and I just had enough at some point, and I just left. Was doing some drinking. Like people want to know the story. I'm like, it really isn't a great story. It's not like I was going on hookers and blow for 2 weeks. And I just threw my phone down and just shut down everything. And I didn't even realize, I had no idea what was going on. Like it wasn't like I was purposely ignoring anybody. I was just got in my own head, and the booze and everything aspect of it. And when I finally came back to normality a little bit and saw that my dad was looking for me. I mean, if you Google my name, it's one of the first things come up. Denny Stephenson missing.
Well, when your dad posted something, I thought, oh shit.
Yeah, and that's everybody obviously did, and I wish he hadn't have done that. But hey, you got to bring it to attention, and yeah.
Well, he was worried.
I think that's again what we were talking about earlier. About injuries and stuff. I don't think concussions were took quite seriously enough. Back in the day, and I think as you get older. I think, CT could be something. I think it's a little real to it. Like my mind doesn't always work sometimes. And as you get older, like I just couldn't remember Eric Johnson's name. Like you forget things. So yeah.
Did you have a lot of concussions?
You had a few that knocked him pretty.
Yeah, I 13 times. I can know being completely out cold.
When it got real bad, he could only say one word.
Yeah, it was weird. Like you get like a weird facial paralysis and stuff, and I couldn't like talk. Yeah, there's some crazy shit back in the day of hitting your head and stuff. And that's why we were talking about Pastrana, how he can barely walk. Like I'm wondering one day it's like it's gonna affect him at some point. I think
Well, he's gonna need fake knees, and
he's
got some work coming.
Like I had a seizure in Minneapolis one year.
Seizure.
I crashed in practice and hit my head, and I was like, when you get up, you got a concussion, you got that blur spot or something. And so I rode back to the pits, and I'm like, well, I'm done for the night. And I'm just sitting there talking to somebody, I guess, and my eyes rolled back in my head, and I hit the deck, went into a seizure. And next thing I remember, it's like, like the movies, you wake up, it's like bright lights, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, and people, like nurses and them are running around crazy. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Where were you when you woke up?
In the emergency room, like in a hospital bed.
Oh, so you were out for a while.
Yeah, I don't remember anything from that point till then. And they're like, yeah, it was pretty gnarly. And so, kids, wear your helmet.
Wear your helmet like I did.
Yeah, and don't go missing. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make sure you were all right, dude.
I mean, just just turn on your phone and it just obviously just ding, 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 and then see the people who reached out. Then I felt bad. Like, oh God, I talked to Donnie Hansen about it the other night, and he's like, yeah, you had a lot of people worried. I'm like, yeah, I didn't realize. Now I know that.
That wasn't your intent.
That was not my intent. Yeah.
No,
it was just me. I didn't realize it. Yeah, I didn't. When people care about everybody. When somebody goes, I should have handled it much better. Obviously.
Yeah, I think something that kind of showed me, and I mean, you only know how many people reached out, but just from the stuff I was seeing, I probably got 10 text messages.
Yeah.
So I gotta imagine your phone was blown up, and it kind of shows you in this sport, even though maybe we don't talk.
Sure.
How many times a year do I talk to you?
Yeah.
But when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, it was very, it made me realize, like, hey man, get your shit together. There's people out there worried about you and care about you. Which it was a good feeling, but again, I felt bad that that I made people worry about it.
Well, shit happens.
You think that you were just in a space that you just wanted to be left alone for a little bit? And
that was just it. Yeah. Like just.
I guess next time, just check in with your dad. Dad, I'm going to be gone for a week. Yeah. I'm good.
I was
give me 5 days.
Yeah, I was laughing at him. Like,
I'm going to France to get some duck.
Well, it's funny because I started reading, I got in line a little bit, and the rumors that were so crazy, like. I was in Florida hiding from gambling addiction, and the mafia wanted to kill me or something. Like, well, that's a good one. Like, you must have put a lot of thought in that one.
Yeah, you don't correct anybody on that. Let it run.
No, yeah.
What do you think's next for you? What's long term?
In life?
Yeah.
Hoping to get this thing done here in a little bit.
You might be lucky.
No, yeah, I mean, I have no idea. Yeah, it's like the 5-year plan. I don't know, just get to till next week. You
got a 2-week plan, and past that,
I mean, I made it here. That's that was good.
That's a victory. But
yeah, no,
that took 2 years to get going. So.
Yeah, and just keep living, keep being a good dad. It was great meeting. I met Chicken's daughter this weekend. The first time I'd ever met her, and actually seeing Bailey and stuff. Like, I feel like a part of the kids, because I've known
Denny.
Your kids, forever. Yeah, and Raleigh's, a sophomore in college right now and stuff.
Does he have a major yet?
I don't think he's officially. I think he's probably a business major.
Because you said he loves to work, right?
He likes money, and he likes to work, and he likes to have the money. And I think he wants to get into managing it. Like his brother works in that, Zach, Michelle's oldest. So. Yeah, keep crushing it,
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we kind of we're down to our last question here, actually. I do have a question here. It was about sisters. How many sisters do you think you've run through in this sport? If you go all the way back to mini bike days.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, if it wasn't for friend sisters, who knows? I mean, that's what, to go to Ponca City as a kid, you're like, man, this is just a free-for-all. It's like camp. I'm climbing in girls' windows, locals and stuff. And I'm like, you look back, like, man, I could have been murdered. That's how I first met Vanilla Ice. He was banging every girl in town, and the locals wanted to kill him. And he'd had long hair. He was just, everybody had their mopeds running around all over town. And then it was like years later when Budman, I think, was telling like, hey, man, that's Rob Van Winkle. Remember that guy? Like, that's Vanilla Ice. And I'm like, well, he set the standard as a kid because he was banging on everybody.
He Vanilla Iced everybody?
Yeah, he was Vanilla Icing everybody. But, yeah, there's a lot of them.
I remember making out with, and it's a girl you guys would know, or you'd know the name. I'm probably not going to say it because that's probably tasteless. But
yeah,
I was making out with her in her motorhome with her parents asleep in the bedroom in the back of the motorhome. I'm thinking,
kids,
dude,
man,
if I walked out and saw that, somebody on top of my daughter,
yeah. I remember one time I was in one of the motorhomes. Sean Huggins used to have a motorhome. You remember Sean Huggins' name from Iowa? And I had a girl in there, and I heard my dad outside talking and stuff. So we hid under the bed or something on the covers, and I hear him walking around in there. Where's Daddy in here and stuff? And I'm like, don't say nothing. I don't know why. I wouldn't have gotten in trouble or anything, but yeah. And climbing through the window, that's the one I'm like, dude, what an idiot. Like in Oklahoma?
Listen.
That guy had a gun.
This is a public service announcement. Do not bring your daughters to the dirt bike races.
No, yeah. It's
just please, for the love of God, do yourself a favor.
Keep them home because Loretta Lynn's, like, there's just so much stuff we could get away with because you're like, your parents are back at the camper drinking or at the hotel. And you just running amok.
Mm-hmm.
It's like meatballs, Caddyshack, all rolled into one.
Totally.
You know?
Put it on the Underhills tab.
Yeah, exactly. Did you hit a water buffalo?
Yeah. All right. Hottest wife or girlfriend or sister currently in the pits? Do you have any comment on that?
That's a good one.
If you were a young Denny and you were out slaying, who's the first truck you're going to right now?
I don't even know. I don't even really pay attention to the wives.
Still looking at
just like
still looking at
I try to imagine like the 90s with Monster Girls. Like it would have been so dangerous. Like there've been so many kids knocked out, you know, having like so many girls like, man, that was a good weekend.
A little tight.
So many
suits a little tight.
Like we were talking about, like so many careers already been ruined by a handful of them. But in the 90s, it would have been pure chaos.
Oh
yeah.
boy, yeah, definitely.
We would have been knocking it out like on the podium.
Fishing with dynamite.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
Last question. How do you want to be remembered? What legacy will Denny Stephenson leave?
Man, I lived life as the most I could. You know, I enjoyed every moment. I hoped I treated people. I hope I left people better than when I got there. You know, that's why I talk like. That's why I love Australians. And my first time I went over there was my first trip overseas. Me and Doug Dubach went, and that's where I learned to just like chaos. Like we never left the bar with our shirts. Like everybody just dogpiled like crazy, rude boy and spitting shit. I'm like, this is nuts. I like this, you know. This is good. This
is out of control.
Yeah,
I like it. When can we do it again?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, just that, you know, good times were always had by me.
That's true. I mean, I've very rarely had a bad time with Denny, and always laughing.
I'm funnier than Brad Hagseth, obviously.
Well, it's a different kind of funny, but I don't know. But anyhow,
you ever keep an eye on Shelly out of the corner of your eye when he's around, or no?
Especially in the early years.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I first met her. Yeah,
He tried to take her jean shopping.
Yeah, I called her the next day after meeting her, and she was like, "It was nice meeting you. Is Buddy there?" Well played, bud. Well played. Yeah, because I did. I tore her jeans. Like she had some holes on her jeans, and I like ripped them. So when I called her, I'm like, "Hey, you want to go jean shopping and stuff?" "No, I'm good." "Is Bud there?" He had the hair then.
Yeah. What are you going to do with that?
You can't compete with that.
And the great thing is over the years, too, watching your best friend become really good friends with your wife and in the connection that they've had and sometimes the butting of heads that they've had, too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, you know, it's just like that big family. And one thing, we'll always love each other and always work through everything. And it's made it fun. And like I said, I've always laughed, whether we're just sitting here talking like we did today. I mean, there's lots of laughs I had. You know, or we're going out and doing something silly. You know, It's always been fun.
I remember one night at the Hard Rock, and Amber, my wife, is blowing your shirt open while all your buttons.
Yeah.
I was kind of going.
Yeah, I remember you eyeballing over.
Keep an eye on this situation, and Denny was about 5 Jack and Cokes in,
at least.
At least,
she probably blew them buttons off and realized.
Yeah,
I thought the chest was going to be a little bigger. Maybe he had one of them.
Where's the rest of you, Denny?
Just put it back together. Got some duct tape for this guy. Yeah.
Here, I'll get a safety pin. Let's just tighten that shirt back up.
God, what a great, like the Hard Rock back in the day, like like you just walked into the round bar, you just knew someone was going to be there getting just twisted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was guys already twisted up. Yeah, you just joined the party.
Yeah.
Twisted right in there.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm just going to go here. I know it's going to be a good time. Yeah.
Well, I love seeing you. I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah,
Thank you for taking the time.
For having me. Always apologize it took so long. But I had a great weekend coming out here. You know, my buddy Chad and I come out and saw people and got to catch up with a lot of people and involved to watch the races with friends and stuff. And what a great series right now. Everything's going is good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going home and getting back to life, I guess, you know, because it's been quite an adventure these 4 days.
Probably need to catch up on some sleep, I guess.
Yeah. I was just so amped up for this whole thing. Like, I had anxiety coming out here. Like, I don't know why. You
hadn't seen everybody in a while.
We get so used to just, you know, especially just not leaving the house. And not leaving the house, but not leaving your town. Like, I got like a 20-mile radius. I know you're in all the time, every day.
187th to 83rd.
It's like, well, I better get on the plane now. And then go see everybody. And I've been amped. Like, I was in San Diego, like, looking out the window, like, going, man, this is such a beautiful part of the country again. I haven't been out here. Like,
Go check it out.
Now get your ass up there and get the show shot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it.
Yes,
Thanks for
you,
taking
brother.
the time. I
Absolutely. Love you too.
Thank you for coming in and making the time. It was a lot of fun.
It's my pleasure. I love doing this show. The couple times I've done it, co-hosting, and the time I was on it, and the big thing, like I said, just being a fan of it now and listening to some of these great behind the scene stories. What'd you call it? Kind of like the behind the music type of
There's so much
style, and you learn something. Like I learned a few things about Denny that you know.
And you go in depth with everybody. You know, it's not just the highlights. Like what made you tick a little bit. Yeah, and everybody made everything that. Not everyone's not the same. Like you think we're the same because we love the sport, but we all got here our path like very different ways sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, and the things like that broken wrist at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Your career right there could have gone multiple ways, or even the year past that, the way that situation was handled. Like,
and you see with kids today, the same thing. You know, like there's an opportunity that might be missed or an injury that they can't. You know, and then that door closes. You see how quickly they dismiss these guys in the 2D class. Like
path change.
You're forgotten tomorrow. So
look at Faulkner.
Here's
a guy who you thought by now would have 3 titles and have a factory 40 deal lined up.
Yeah.
Cinderella, the same way. Yeah,
I mean, it's true. I mean, then the list is
long. You know, so
long.
Each up spits you out. I'm very blessed and lucky and appreciative that my career lasted long. It does. In and off on and off the bike, you know, and the TV, the agent, the marketing, the racing. Like, man, I'm like, wow. Like, where do I go now? Like, I'm peaked.
Yeah, you peaked too early. Well, now Moto Extremes. I mean, that's something that could grow too.
It's just fun, man, and it's just. I was talking the other day with it's all life consuming. Like for me, I just love it so much. It's enjoyable to watch.
So are you back doing another?
Basically, MXD360.com. Yeah.
MXD360.
Moto Extreme 360 or MXD360. Okay. Yeah, it's something I think, you know, it could be something bigger. You know, I think I need to put a little bit more work into it, but it's fun as hell. Get on it, hire a team, you know, for the Supercross. We do outdoors. We did a Fantasy MXGP season. We did fantasy for the nations. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just fun because like numbers, I love numbers, and we all have something that kind of calms us, like yoga or something. For me, it's spreadsheets.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
That's super weird.
Yeah, it is.
But I dig it.
I remember in high school, I was like really good in math, and so I kept advancing faster than I probably should have. And I remember my guidance counselor or whatever was like, what do you want to do? And I didn't have the heart to tell her, 'cause she was a very nice old lady, that I'm going to go race a dirt bike for the rest of my, for a while. So I just I'm going to go to college and become an accountant. She's like, well, what kind of classes would you want to look at? You want to look at like this profile, these pamphlets? Sure, let's check them out. Because I'm
going to be a janitor and I'm going to solve complicated problems on the chalkboard.
Exactly. Yeah, because if I would have told her I'm going to race a motocross bike, she would have just fallen out of her chair. Like, what?
Poor sweet woman.
Yeah. So.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you guys
Absolutely.
on. Stay tuned. We'll be back to wrap the show up.
Perfect.
I wanna be bad with you, girl, like we're robbing a bank. I wanna be mad at the world, like it took you away. Don't wanna be mad at
That's our show, folks. Big thank you to Denny Stephenson and Buddy Antonis for coming in. I appreciate their time. A lot of fun going through Denny's career. It's been a long time knowing that guy. Like I said, when I first hit the pro scene in '94, he was kind of the guy I parked next to and looked up to and tried to learn a lot from. So fun to walk through his career with him. And great guy, super funny and interesting and full of life. And hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Again, thank you for supporting the show. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. We go out of our way to make sure we're partnering with only the best brands and companies in the sport. So you can rest assured that we aren't going to feed you promotional crap from a bunch of turd companies. These guys are the very, very elite groups in this sport, and we're very careful with who we partner with. So anyway, appreciate it. Thank you guys for the support. We'll see you soon. The Whiskey Throttle Show is brought to you by Yamaha. Join the Blue Crew today and take advantage of all that Yamaha has to offer, including amateur racing trackside support, awesome Yamaha contingency, Jason Rain's demos and instructional classes, and frankly, the most high-performing motorcycles available on the market today. Whether you're looking for a 4-stroke, a 2-stroke, a side-by-side, a quad, a boat, a generator, Yamaha prides themselves on absolute top-level quality and reliability. Rev your heart with Yamaha and join the Blue Crew today. Sore necks, aching legs, tight backs. Our bodies aren't designed to be constantly tense, but what can we do about it? Help your body relax with TheraBody. TheraBody creates effective, natural solutions to take charge of your daily wellness. By combining education, innovation, and over a decade of pioneering technology, TheraBody makes wellness more accessible for everybody. A traumatic motorcycle accident led TheraBody founder Dr. Jason Westland to create the Theragun for his debilitating pain. Now the Theragun, the only physician-created percussive therapy device, uses a scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power to relax and release your deep muscle tension. Recovery Air is TheraBody's world-leading pressure compression therapy system that flushes out leg soreness so you can bring on peak performance. Most electrical muscle stimulation isn't effective. Instead, TheraBody's sleek Power Dot takes away the guesswork with an intuitive app that customizes intensity and placement so you recover faster. Regular foam rollers hurt. TheraBody's Wave series delivers powerful vibration and pressure to help you recover with less pain. Don't settle for mystery CBD. TheraBody's TheraOne range of topical and ingestible full-spectrum USDA-certified organic CBD products are redefining high-potency CBD for wellness and recovery. 250 professional sports teams exclusively use Theragun and other TheraBody products to take recovery into their own hands. Method Race Wheels, bringing you the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels in off-road for your truck, van, sprinter, UTV, or SUV. They've been dominating the Baja 500 and 1000 and every major off-road event around the world for years with high quality and performance. They also look amazing. They come in a bunch of different styles and colors for your rig, so check them out. You can get 20% off a set of wheels using our code Whiskey Throttle. No capitals, no spaces. 20% off using our code. Check them out. Also, coming soon, the R1M project. Method Race Wheels makes a dive into the motocross world. Stay tuned. Troy Lee Designs is the leader in off-road motocross apparel and style. So whether you're looking for a cool new paint job for your helmet, maybe your name and number on your helmet lettered on, you're looking for new gear, you're looking for mountain bike gear, off-road gear, they've got the brand new Scout line and GP and SE models. Troy Lee Designs has it all. They've been leading this industry for decades, and they're going to continue to do it. Check out TroyLeeDesigns.com. SKDA is a moto graphics and seat covers company with several offices based around the globe. For too long, bikes and graphics have all looked the same. They just start to blend together. SKDA is working to change that. With super clean and unique design work, a bike with SKDA graphics stands out in a crowd and adds a touch of art to the world of moto. Hey, we need that. SKDA prides itself on providing premium customer service both before and after the sale is made. Visit SKDA online to view the current product range and get in touch with their team to get your bike refreshed. I want to just make a mention here that these guys, not only is their design way outside the box, very, very cool, they'll work with you on custom things. The products are incredible. Okay, they'll speak for themselves, but what's really awesome, and you'll notice this the minute you order one of these, man, they give you an email saying, hey, the product's been shipped. Hey, the product is here. It landed in this spot. Hey, it's coming today. Hey, your product's been delivered. They just so good about staying in touch with you and letting you know where it's at. Customer service is 100%, and that's just something that's rare these days. Check out SKDA. Here at the Whiskey Throttle Show, we're all about supporting brands that support our sport. And there's one tire company that has never walked away from the sport of motocross and supercross, and it's Dunlop. When times got tough and the economy took a crash, Dunlop stepped up and stayed with our sport to support it and the athletes and individuals that love it. Their MX-53 line and MX-33 lines absolutely dominate this sport. Every national championship at the pro level has been won in the last decade, and nearly every single amateur national championship at Loretta Lynn's has been won on a Dunlop. So if you're looking for high performance, you're looking for amazing quality, and you're looking to support a brand that never turns its back on our sport, there's only one choice for you, and it's Dunlop. Pro Circuit is the leader in aftermarket performance and quality. Whether you're looking for a little more horsepower out of your engine, some quality hard parts to improve the way your bike feels and looks, better handling through suspension or linkage arms, Pro Circuit is where you need to stop. It's your one-stop shop. You can go in there and get everything you need to make your motorcycle go from average to exceptional. Pro Circuit's got enough number one plates on their wall to side an entire home, and there's a reason for that. They're very, very good at what they do. The highest quality products with one goal in mind, and that's winning. Check out ProCircuit.com. Nihilo Concepts is leading the way in aftermarket hard parts. With their secondary on-switch device, something that was much needed in this sport, They've been innovating and bringing new products to market. Their latest is the new Nihilo Run Cool brake pistons. They're designed to be stronger than stock and provide exceptional cooling performance with less brake drag. Most OEM calipers pistons are made from aluminum that just can't hold up to the heat and extreme demands of serious racing. When they get hot, the aluminum will distort, causing loss of hydraulic pressure and brake failure. Nihilo's Run Cool pistons limit the area that boiling hot hydraulic fluid is able to come in contact with the piston, leaving 2/3 of the piston volume in open air with breather holes to enhance the cooling ability. It's made of a proprietary stainless blend, which is better at dissipating heat. You have issues with brake fade or brake failure, check out Nihilo Concepts among their many amazing hard parts and carbon fiber parts and titanium. NihiloConcepts.com. Senna is the leader in motorcycle helmet communications. There's really two prongs to why this is important. One of them is safety. If you're a dad who's watching your kid out on a track, being able to communicate with him about a rider down or a track situation is imperative. You don't want him coming over a jump and seeing a rider down and getting himself involved in that. So from a safety aspect, it's huge. You can also coach them. So if you see them taking a line, doing something that they could be improved, it's very easy to just click a button and speak to them right in their helmet in real time. This has been a proven coaching technique used by many motorcycle coaches. There's also just the simple fun factor. Being able to chat with your buddy while you're out on a ride, share music between one another, answer phone calls. It just takes your riding experience to another level. So whether you're using the 50S or 50R connected through a mesh network in your helmet, or you're using a Tough Talk headset connected with one of those, Senna is the leader in quality and performance in motorcycle helmet communications. Check them out at Senna.com. Seat Concepts is the leader in motorcycle saddles. If you're looking for a new cover or a new seat entirely, Seat Concepts is the place to go. They make custom seat foams catered to your height, weight, riding ability, riding type. They also have waterproof covers and foams that will not break down if you ride in a lot of inclement weather. And they pride themselves on being much more comfortable than OEM or any other aftermarket company. If you're looking for a new seat or a new cover, Seat Concepts, there's nothing better. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, ProX makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the Polaris RZR 800s. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than ProX. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, ProX makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for if you've got a little Grom that's looking to get started in the motorcycle world, the best way to get them going is on a Stasic bike. They've got multiple sizes, so from your very young Groms to those who are a little more grown up, you can start them safely. They've got controls that allow you to control the speed so he can't get going too quick. They can touch the ground. There's not a lot of noise to distract them. It's the perfect way to get your child involved in motorcycling at a very young age. And if you've got a kid who's already out ripping, there's series popping up all over. For those of you in Southern California, go to www.ameminicross.com and join their local series. If you're outside of this state, contact your local track and ask them about starting a Stasic class at your local track. Get over to Stasic.com and check out all they've got going on. Motul USA, we lean hard on these lubricants to keep us on the track and on the trail. And Motul has proven their quality over and over, most recently with their Dakar win with Ricky Brabeck. They're sponsoring supercross teams. They're diving into our sport again full throttle, and we're stoked to have them on board. Amazing products, top to bottom. Motul USA, go check them out. OGIO is the leader in motorcycle storage solutions. As motocross riders, we need a gear bag, we need a helmet bag, a boot bag, a backpack, a travel bag, a hydration pack, maybe a toolkit to wear around your waist if you're on an off-road ride. OGIO makes all of that, and their products are absolutely top of the line. I've got stuff I've had for several decades, just to give you an idea of how long this stuff lasts. If you're not sure, ask around, talk to folks who've had some of this stuff, and they will confirm OGO's quality is absolutely second to none. So go check them out, OGO_powersports.com, and look at all they've got to offer right now. You ever heard the phrase that the harder you work, the luckier you are? Well, at Luck Apparel, they believe in an acronym that kind of sums it up a little more simply than that: laboring under complete knowledge. So it isn't just some random chance that determines what your outcome or results are going to be. It's being educated and working your butt off to get it done. And I think that goes hand in hand with the motocross industry. You don't get lucky into a win. You work your ass off and you make it happen. So check out Luck Apparel. They've got t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're stoked to have them on board here at the Whiskey Throttle Show in 2022. If you're in the market for a toy hauler trailer, car trailer, cargo trailer, look no further than Custom Outfitters, one of our new partners for this year. These guys do an awesome job, even so far as to dial in the inside of Sprinter vans, which have become the new standard moto transportation for moto. These guys can handle it all. They use ATC world-class trailers, top shelf service and performance in their products. Custom Outfitters out of South Dakota doing an awesome job. We're stoked to have these guys on board this year. So whether you're looking to just do some camping with the family, looking for a trailer that can fit all your toys to go out to the desert or wherever, look no further than Custom Outfitters. And finally, last but not least, Specialized Bicycles. If you are in the market to start pedaling, this is where you want to start. They've got great entry-level bikes all the way up to the Cadillac, the new Levo e-bike, anything in between, man. It doesn't matter what kind of riding you're doing. Go check out and start with Specialized. Don't waste your time on something that's going to break. The derailler's not going to shift after a couple months. Get something quality. These guys make it. Specialized leads that industry. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to MPH, Moto E, Fitness and Health. We've got Coach Rob Beams here providing some professional insight into some fitness and health-related questions. Today I want to talk about caffeine. It's kind of been generally accepted now that caffeine in certain levels is good for sports performance.
Sure. Yep.
Kind of brings up that mental acuity, kind of gets you feeling like you're ready to go. According to the Mayo Clinic, 400 milligrams per day is the maximum you want to consume. If you're looking at some energy drinks, those can be 300 milligrams alone. A cup of coffee is about 100 per cup. What are your thoughts on caffeine, where we get it, what you take it with, kind of what is a good balance there to strike?
Well, it's interesting. Caffeine falls in a category known as an ergogenic benefit. We always hear so much about performance-enhancing drugs, EPO, HG, corticosteroids, and that kind of stuff. An ergogenic benefit or an aid is something that comes from your natural food. Creatine, you can load up on creatine.
Sure.
Caffeine falls right into that same category. So for somebody that doesn't drink coffee or doesn't bring in caffeine, you're definitely going to get a metabolic lift. Like you said, the mental clarity is there. Definitely you get an elevation in energy. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The big thing that I always say to my clients, I'm not a big coffee drinker. If I drink coffee, I'm usually making it a milkshake with a bunch of artificial creamer. As I said before in previous shows, I don't live in a glass house, so if I'm going to have coffee, it's going to taste good. I think coffee, it has its opportunities.
I always say black coffee is for people whose parents didn't love them.
Literally. I'm going to steal that line. I'm going to give you the props to it, but it definitely does work. Now, what we always say with our clients is, as you were saying, that 400 milligrams tends to be that threshold on a daily basis. Not to be rude, a sensitive subject, you got to go off of loose bowels. Because when you get to a point where that caffeine just, it's going to vasodilate your sphincter and it's going to be open season, you've got to know where that threshold is at. Obviously, if you're just trying to get through a day at work, it's not so bad when you have a restroom that you can run to. But if you're out on the track, and not to be rude, but you add velocity, you add a little G out, and you add a loose sphincter, you're probably going to have, what do you call it earlier, the brown?
Yeah, code brown.
Code brown is going to be in full force.
Yeah, those are a bummer, especially when you hit the track without a good way to clean up.
Literally.
Spare pair of shorts.
Yep.
What about, it's also a diuretic, isn't it? So you got to be careful with hydration.
It's very funny you say that because Michaela and I, we like to study a lot. We do a lot of research. And when we were formulating our energy fuel, we were looking at bringing caffeine in because of the sports, the ability to add clarity. And we actually found that it's actually a farce. It's not true.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was educated because, to be honest with you, I've been under the impression that it was a diuretic. That was a negative. Now, again, I'm sure there might be somebody that says, oh, you hit a certain point, it could have a diuretic characteristic. But just like too much caffeine, we can go into, gives you loose bowel syndrome too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were surprised to find that it doesn't. It went into the absorption rate of the caffeine, to the fluid intake and osmolality and all this other absorption math. But it was fascinating for me because with that epiphany, that's why we decided to add a little bit of caffeine to our energy fuel boost. It's a very, the sugar that we put in it is an easily convertible carbohydrate molecule to sugar. Because think about when you've got this guy burning at top end, you want that fuel to burn as crisp and clean as it can, and your body's the same way. But we did add the caffeine for more mental clarity as well.
Gotcha. And then you have to also consider, as you mentioned with coffee, is how are you getting the caffeine? So if you're drinking a cup of black coffee, there's really no downsides to that. You're adding that crappy creamer, which is delicious.
It's the best.
But that's bad for you.
It's horrible. We had a lady that was doing our 2-week food challenge where we put together, it's actually by Dr. Phil Maffetone. I can't take credit for it. The guy's brilliant. And he developed this 2-week food challenge, and we've essentially taken the same information and made it available to our clients because, and I agree with him, the ingestion of simple sugars and white starches are at an all-time epidemic level as a society. And his only purpose for doing that is when you realize where hidden sugars are at. And we had a lady, she did the 2-week food challenge, and you're allowed to have black coffee on there. And she took it out. For some reason, she just didn't feel like she wanted to do black coffee. But then she brought her coffee back in, and she ballooned up after the 2-week food challenge. She said, see, I told you, it's the black coffee. A little bit of research, we found out she was doing the creamer. It was the artificial sweetener in the creamer that she was having an adverse reaction to that caused her to balloon up. So, yeah, even though I enjoy it, it's a lot of poison.
Yeah, I try to do the bulletproof coffee, a little bit of butter, a little MCT oil.
MCT, sure.
And I do a packet of stevia.
Okay.
And it's decent to me. It's not as good as my vanilla or coconut cream, coffee mate, but it also doesn't have all the crap in it. So I guess that's my point is if you're going to the track and trying to get a little caffeine bump, just be careful where you're getting it because it's fine. It actually is a performance enhancer, but when you have to deliver it through a whole bunch of sugar, whether that's an energy drink,
that's right.
That's when the negative side effects start kicking in.
Well, and not getting highly technical, that's where we get into the glycemic index. You've heard that sugar crash that everybody talks about. You get that big spike in that insulin, and then it crashes. So your energy levels are here, spiked to here, and then plummeted to here. That could be a real problem when you're 20 minutes out from a moto. You hit that Java jolt that does have the artificial crap in it, and then when you finally get to the line, you're almost in a coma because you get that insulin crash. But that's where we go back to good high quality coffee beans, as close to black as you can go, because the big key word is to stay away from anything synthetic. Yeah. Anything synthetic is going to be fabricated. There's going to be something artificial that your body's probably not going to really agree with. And if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't consume it.
That's right. One other little tidbit since we're on this, a lot of folks think that the darker the coffee, maybe the more caffeine because it's got a richer taste. Actually, the longer that you roast a bean, the more of that caffeine you burn off. So a light roast, better for caffeine intake if that's what you're after.
There you go.
Well, cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
I just wanted to touch on it. I know there's some issues with it. It's like one of those things that there is some benefit, but be careful how you get it.
There's certainly a point of diminishing returns.
Absolutely.
That's the takeaway.
Well, if you want more information on diet, nutrition, get over to CompleteRacingSolutions.com. Rob has a ton of things there, resources for you, all free of charge. You can also bump up to a membership and get access to a whole lot more. So check those out. We appreciate you. Stay tuned. We got more MPH videos coming.
Thanks for watching the Whiskey Throttle Show, now available on the Spot Network, an independent standalone streaming platform live now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Google Play, Android TV, most smart TVs, and all phones and tablets. Look for future live shows and specials only available on Spot Network. Download the app today on your favorite device. And don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell to get alerts for all the latest content. Follow us on Twitter at W_throttle_show and on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Whiskey Throttle Show.